White Sox Royals Series is presented by Explore Minnesota Tourism. And we welcome you to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. The Sox and Royals game number 2 of a scheduled 5-game series now, with a split doubleheader tomorrow as they come filing in for this Friday evening of baseball. Thanks for joining us one more time. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. The Sox have made their home here at Kauffman Stadium this year, 3-0 to start the season, and a power surge in just about every moment of those games.
They're doing it with the long ball, 12 in 3 games, and 11 in 2 of those games, including 5 last night. It started early. Yohan Moncada for the second time in as many nights, a leadoff home run. And then Wellington Castillo with a blast. That one went a long way, but not as long as some to come. Look at Matt Davidson. This one he lines out of the ballpark, a lot like the 3 he hit on opening day. And Trace Thompson takes one opposite field. Could have been the longest of the evening. And then once again on a slider, it's Matt Davidson. He takes it way back. He's hit 7 of them this year, and he loves this ballpark. So with the offense doing what it's doing, you'd have to say tonight should be a good night.
And you'd imagine we have a pretty good pitching matchup for you with a lefty against a righty.
Danny Duffy going to the mound for Kansas City. Ronaldo Lopez going to the mound for our guys. And Lopez is throwing it very well. Batting average against for him, 150. He looked good against Oakland last time out, but he's looked good just about every time out. You can't hit him very well. If he doesn't walk anybody, you don't score. But this young man has all the makings of a top-of-the-rotation starter. If you take a look at the wins for both Lopez and Duffy, and you can't find a 1. Last time out against our Sox was opening day, and Danny Duffy had a 4-run lead before there was anybody out. He couldn't hold it, and he left that ball game. Last year against the Royals, Ronaldo was very good at 2-0, and ERA just below 3.5. Right now he's throwing as well as anybody in the league. The question is support. Last night the offense came to life. It's still warm here tonight. Maybe they'll come to life again. Sox
got to Danny Duffy, as you just saw on opening day, to come back for James Shields, as the Sox will lead off with Tim Anderson in the lineup tonight because the lefty's on the mound. Tim with some sterling defense last night. Double play, little whirl and fire, and then another very nice play to cut down a runner at home and off the field as well. It's been an important trip for Tim Anderson, bringing some kids from Chicago to the Negro League Baseball Museum. And we'll tell you about that after this. 67 degrees at game time last night. Tonight is likely going to be pretty similar. Sox and Royals game number 2. And one of the gems of this trip is not far away from Kauffman Stadium, about 15 minutes toward downtown. It's the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, always worth a tour when you come here to Kansas City to see the Sox, and that's exactly what some of the players did today. Led by Tim Anderson and his League of Leaders program, students from Austin Community Academy High School and Schurz High School in Chicago came to Kansas City with the Sox. Lucas Giolito, Tim Anderson, Trace Thompson, among others, were there. Got a great tour from the docent named Ray, who's very knowledgeable about everything. And the students had a wonderful time. We'll tell you more about the Negro League Baseball Museum as we get going with this game. Sox and Royals, game number 2, on the way from the Big K after this. Number 2 of 5 scheduled, with the doubleheader coming tomorrow. And you heard Chuck mention Joe McEwing on the bench because Ricky Renteria is with his family. His mother Angela passed away just a couple of days ago, and we're all thinking certainly of Ricky Renteria. Joe McEwing earlier, when he was chatting with the media before the game, was asked if he has any nerves jumping back into a managerial role he's had in the minors.
If you don't have nerves, anytime you walk into a ballpark, you know, every day you walk in a ballpark, you have nerves, because it's nerves of excitement and because there's an opportunity to do something special today. As a player, as you know, you have an opportunity to see something special you've never seen before, or so. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely nerves, but you know, it's excitement.
That's the 2-time Carolina League Manager of the Year with Advanced A Winston-Salem. And time now for the starting lineup. It is brought to you by the Webb Auto Group. And Tim Anderson leads it off. Then Yolmer Sanchez, Jose Abreu, Castillo, Davidson, Moncada, Thompson, Garcia, Engel. It's brought to you by the Webb Auto Group for the best lineup of Chevy Sports, Mitsubishis, Genesis, and Hyundai's. The best price. Go to webcars.com.
The defensive setup for the Royals, as Ned Yost puts him out there, presented by UI Health. It's Gordon, Jay, and Soler. In the infield, Cuthbert, Escobar, Merrifield, and Duda. Salvador Perez behind the plate. We will tell you about Danny Duffy after he delivers the first pitch to Tim Anderson. And he's drawing a number 30 in the back of the mound. And so, as Danny Duffy gets ready and the outfield is set, infield in at third base, we're ready to play baseball. And on this beautiful night in Kansas City, I'm ready to turn it over to my spunky partner, Jason Benetti.
Steve, thank you very much. Game number 2. Sox trying to stay unbeaten in this ballpark this season. 12 home runs already. Sox with their most homers in this park in a decade as Tim Anderson swings through pitch number 1. We are underway as Danny Duffy reprises his role of starting pitcher from opening day.
His fastball will top out about 96. That was 95 right down the middle.
It's the most home runs in this ballpark we were talking about since 2008. The club record is 18, set in 2003. A lot of time to get there. Need only 6 in the final bundle of games this season. Tim stays alive.
Duffy is trying to establish the inside corner with his fastball. That sets up a fastball away. He loves to wipe you out with that slider down and into the right-handers. The key is to get it before it breaks down and in. Time now for our Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher, and it is the aforementioned Danny Duffy. He's 0-3 this year, ERA at 5 1/4. There you see the rest of the numbers. Far too many walks for 25 2/3 innings. He's also given up more hits than innings. That's surprising because Duffy's got good stuff.
Up the middle into center field, and a good start for the Sox, who have had the leadoff man aboard now in every game in this series, and dating back to the homestand, 5 straight games.
Tim got a changeup after trying to establish the inside part of the plate with a fastball. Duffy went away with the change, and he slowed down his motion somewhat because Tim wasn't fooled. He just took it right back up the middle, which is what you should try to do with that. And a promising start to the ball game as Yolmer will hit for the right side, trying to get over that 300 mark.
He's had a very nice couple of weeks, Yolmer Sanchez. 1 for 4 yesterday to keep his hit streak alive at 6 now. And you look at Danny Duffy and what he has done against the Sox. He's had some rough patches. Jose Abreu's got a couple of home runs against him. Matt Davidson is 3 for 7, including an opening day barrage. Adam Engel has had a very good early career against Danny Duffy at 5 for 8.
Danny Duffy has scuffled in the Central. As you look at his career numbers against our Sox, ERA close to 4.5. That's 19 starts. This year the ERA against the Central is 8.80. So he has struggled against his Central foes, which is not a good trend if you're trying to win anything in the division.
0-2. It's fouled back, and Danny Duffy has been throwing more changeups the last couple of years. This season is an increase as well from previous years, up to 20% on the changeup, mostly the four-seam fastball.
He used to have a big curveball, but he has gotten away from that. He thinks the slider's a better pitch for him.
He certainly does in his last 2 starts. 26 of them at Toronto in his second to last start, 30 last start at Detroit. So that's 56 sliders the last 2 games. Meanwhile, his first 3 starts, Duffy threw a combined 41 sliders, so significantly more the last 2 games. So fastball at 94 off the plate.
He's going to try to bury that slider inside. We'll take a look in at Perez, see what he wants, but he's looking for that ground ball to the left side, trying to turn a pair. That is the slider. Let's see if Perez sets up inside.
He does, and it stayed out over the heart of the plate.
He was lucky to get away with that. You see Perez moving late. A lot of bigger catchers especially don't want to move early because it's pretty easy to see if he does. So he jumps inside, wants it buried inside, and gets it out over the plate, and Duffy gets away with one.
How does that affect the pitcher if that target is late?
Usually he doesn't mind very much. He just doesn't want the coaches giving location. And sometimes what coaches will do, if they see a catcher set up early, you might have, and I'm not talking about the whistle that Darryl Boston uses to blow at Josh Donaldson. I'm talking about just a whistle. You might hear a coach whistle if a guy sets up inside, and then nothing if the guy sets up away, or vice versa, depending on what the sign is. But catcher setting up early is never really good for a pitcher. You just as soon he glide there as he's getting ready to throw the ball, because you got a good idea where you want to throw it.
Anderson at first, 1-2 on Sanchez. Yolmer goes down to get it. Cuthbert spins it to second, and that is all they'll get.
He got his ground ball to the left side, but no chance for a double play on a slow developing ground ball.
Who's in blue tonight other than the Royals?
Well, we've got Sean Barber behind the plate, Vic Carapazza at first. King size Jordan Baker is at second, and Jerry Lane is at third. Greg Gibson, who was at first base last night, has the night off, replaced by Sean Barber, who's got the plate.
Barber, who made his major league debut as an umpire in 2014. Jose Abreu, good to see him back in the lineup after flu-like symptoms kept him out yesterday.
Normally he's pretty happy to see Danny Duffy. Let's see if that holds up as he's hitting 286. You look at the numbers, they're fairly robust at this point. Outfield plays him straight away. We've seen a lot of teams playing him drastically into right center field. The Royals, who do like to shift a lot, are not one of those teams.
Jose down a couple of strikes. And you mentioned the numbers against Danny Duffy for Jose Abreu. That includes a 2-run homer in the 4th inning on opening day after Duffy really cruised along the first 3 innings, only 2 base runners. The Sox whacked him for 5 runs in the 4th inning. Tim's 8 for 9 in steals this year, leading the Sox. And Sanchez over at first now with 1 out. Anderson, that leadoff base hit, he's cut down on the fielder's choice. Yolmer 3 for 3 so far in 2018. Pop up first base side. Lucas Duda in fair territory, has out number 2.
This is normally a very big ballpark, but it's been playing very small lately, especially when the weather heats up. Of course, opening day didn't need the heat. They had 6 home runs. The wind not a factor. 2 nights in a row where the wind negligible. That means it will be lively. When you see a right-hander, as Trace Thompson did last night, take the ball to right center field and take it out about 30-35 feet over the fence, you know it's a lively park on a given night.
Boy, he torched that ball, and you have to get it up and out there.
That shows you just how much power he has. And so Trey's getting the opportunity because Avi Garcia is on the disabled list. So getting a lot more play than he thought and making the most of it so far, although the batting average is down.
Line drive, shortstop, and Escobar got a glove on it, but nothing more. Yolmer testing and going into third. So Castillo with a sharp hit to shortstop, and the Sox have 2 on in the first.
Yolmer took a gamble. The gamble was that if Escobar comes up with it, he can't right the ship in time to throw behind him at first base because he was off to the races. He took a couple of big steps and was heading towards second base as Escobar put the glove on it and couldn't corral it. That's the only way you get to third base here. Look at Yolmer. He's going. He figures if it's caught, he can still get back in time. Otherwise, he's standing at second, and it's a completely different inning and at bat for Matt Davidson. Heads up base running by Yolmer.
Matt takes a breaking ball low to start him off. Sox lineup construction against a lefty has been Anderson up top, Moncada in the 6th position because Yoan has just been lethal from the left-hand side, working on his at-bats from the right-hand side, certainly to get them up to where his left-hand swing has been.
Well, credit Matt there. You see it's off the plate, but he went after it because there's a vacated right side. There's literally nobody home as Merrifield is up the middle on the third base side of second. That would have produced a ground ball to the right side and a run driven in with a base hit.
We talked to Matt after the game last night, and he said, you know, what I changed is in previous games, I had for some reason decided to swing under the ball and miss it. I stopped doing that, and I hit a couple of homers.
Worked out well.
2-2.
Everything outside the entire at bat. Normally you'd say, well, bury a slider inside, but with Yolmer 90 feet away, odds are overwhelming he's going to stay away one more time. That's going to be a changeup. Let's see if Matt stays with it.
In the dirt, 3 balls, 2 strikes. There is the aforementioned Yoan Moncada, who's 3 for 5 in this series, waiting for a chance.
Ricky Renteria says the only thing he does need is more at-bats from the right side. Don't see too many lefties these days. So Moncada, much more efficient left-handed.
Broken bat up the middle. Danny Duffy spears it, and the inning comes to an end. 2 left on for the Sox in the first. Reynaldo Lopez out to the mound after this. Rockets up to 2, Perez 3, due to 4. Soler, who can hit the ball very far, as we saw last night. Then Jay Cuthbert into the lineup, Gordon and Escobar.
The defensive setup for our Sox, presented by UI Health, and this is how Joe McEwing's going to put them out there tonight, with Garcia, Engel, and Thompson in the outfield. Yolmer, Tim, Yohan, and Jose in the infield, with Wellington Castillo getting the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher is Ronaldo Lopez. See his ERA at 150, batting average against at 150. Nobody squares it up very well on him. He has 15 walks in 24 innings. That he's got to work on, but right now he's thrown it as well as anybody around, and better than most, just doesn't have any wins to show for it.
Lopez to Whit Merrifield for strike one at 95. Number 2 in the American League in ERA coming into play today. Reynaldo Lopez. Number 4, I should say, number 2 in opposing batting average, as that will not help the opponent's average. It's a ground ball to first. The ERA of 150 is 4th behind Sean Manaea, Garrett Cole, and Justin Verlander. The opposing batting average at 150 only behind Manaea, who had the no-hitter for Oakland against Boston.
That was a good slider by Ronaldo, and that's a good sign because he broke out the slider early. That'll be his 3rd best pitch. Fastball by far his best pitch, then a straight change, which is very good. And now he's got to deal with Moustakas, a power hitter from the left side.
And here is, in pie chart format, what Reynaldo Lopez is going to feature. Here it is for you infographic folks. 4-seam fastball for the most part, then slider, changeup, and curveball. At slider and curve, you can combine them, really.
I think at this point the changeup's a little more consistent than the slider. When he has the slider, nobody hits him very well. He's got a very lively fastball. It's 96 right now. We're going to see 98 out of him as soon as he gets loosened up. But because he is a short armor, he doesn't extend his arm very far away from his body, and hitters don't pick it up. They do, however, pick up the shift. And Anderson is way over, almost at straightaway second base for the dead pull hitting Moustakas.
Two hits career against Lopez for Moustakas, both home runs. He is the home run leader for the Royals, the RBI leader, the doubles leader, and the runs scored leader this year.
He came back on a 1-year contract, thinking there was free agent riches. For him, at least, there was not. So he decided to come back. The qualifying offer was about $10 million more than he's playing for. But he felt that he was going to get a long-term deal. He didn't. He was willing to come back and try to sell his wares in the offseason this year. It's going to be a much tougher free agent class for him to pierce.
And Pierce he does. Deep left center, Moustakas scores the first run of the ball game. A solo homer in the first.
Eighth home run, 19th driven in as Moustakas crushed that ball opposite way. A Ford home run replay. It's a fastball. It's just below belt high, and he puts a charge into it. Engel just can look up and just admire how hard this ball is hit to the opposite field.
And now Lopez very high on his first pitch to Salvador Perez, who was 2 for 5 last night. The Royals left a boatload on base in a 6-3 loss. 11 stranded by Kansas City, including the bases loaded in the 8th yesterday.
That first fastball was out of frustration. He was trying to throw it through Castillo instead of to him. So now he's behind 2-0 to a very good hitting Salvador Perez. Doesn't have his timing quite yet off the DL, but when he does, he's a force.
Up high at 96, 2-1.
Odds are overwhelming that you're going to have to throw it out of the ballpark to walk Perez. He's only 13 at bats this year because of the disabled list stint, yet he's still looking for his first walk, which is not surprising.
I think he went.
I think he did also, and Vic Carapazza said yes, he did.
Yeah.
Absolutely too far. A bridge too far.
2-2 on Salvi. Ball smoked to left.
Well, you don't like to make a trip to the mound, but let's say it wasn't 6 trips to the mound. You would go out there right now and get Ronaldo to forget about the home run and concentrate on the work at hand, because he made some careless pitches. Now he throws a low fastball, and Salvi pummels the ball to left field. Now you really have to be careful when you make your trips to the mound. If he has some trouble with Duda, we'll see the first tonight by someone. Get him out, you don't have to worry about it. Get him to hit the ball on the ground, and it'll be 2, as this combination of Perez and Duda screams double play.
Both hits so far have been on fastballs from Lopez, and that ends up in right field.
Be nice for, in this case, I guess Wellington's going to go out there and have a talk with a man who quite obviously is a little disrupted after that towering home run to the opposite field. So everybody to the mound, trying to get Ronaldo, who still is a very young and very emotional pitcher, to settle down, start thinking about the job at hand. There's Joe McEwing. If you missed it earlier, Ricky Renteria is away for the funeral of his mother. He will miss 3 games over 2 days. Joe McEwing, former minor league star manager, taking the reins. That's Nick Capra to his right.
So early intrigue here, not in a positive way, but certainly early intrigue. Reynaldo Lopez coming into this game had allowed a batting average against on his fastball of 122 for the season. And the Royals have a grand total of 3 hits in a row against his fastball.
Not a cheapie in the bunch.
And there he goes away from the fastball on the first pitch.
Well, you can pretty much not even think about the curveball if you're right-handed, because just a little over 1% of the time has he thrown a right-hander a curveball this year.
There's a strike.
That was a good straight change. One of his better efforts.
Jorge Soler, 2 on, 1 out. 2-hit night last night for Soler. 1-1. In the air, first base side, and Jose has room, and he dropped it. You would imagine that would be E3, and it is.
I would certainly imagine, and it is, as Jose got in position, the ball rotating back toward the field of play, and he just dropped it. He's got some room.
Rarely do you ever see that from Jose Abreu.
No, he's outstanding on pop-ups.
Free chance for Soler. 1-2. Hits it well, right of center, and the Royals make the Sox pay. Salvador Perez scores. It's a double for Soler. Extra outs are lethal in Major League Baseball.
5th run batted in on the 5th double of the year by Jorge Soler, and when you give a major league hitter another life, and that time that changeup was up in the eyes of Soler. He got another opportunity, made the most of it. Now Don Cooper comes to the mound.
So 2 visits in the inning here in the first, and Lopez, who just hadn't been hit by anybody, an average of 150 against coming into this game, 2nd best in the American League. This is early adversity unlike we've seen for Lopez.
I think he thought he made a pretty good pitch on Moustakas, and I think that upset him somewhat, because as we've seen 3 hits later, now he's on the ropes. The infield is in at all 4 positions. for John Jay, normally a leadoff hitter, but now he's hitting down in the lineup. And normally he will put the bat on the ball. Very susceptible to sliders down and in, but that's not the long suit of Ronaldo Lopez.
Started Soler off speed here. It's a low fastball to Jay. Homer single, single, double. The Royals' first inning outside of the Merrifield ground ball to first. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Remember, though, we saw on opening day here in Kansas City, Danny Duffy got bankrolled to a 4-0 lead, 4 batters in against the Sox, and that eventually turned into a 14-7 Sox victory.
Long way to go in this one. That was a good straight change. Straight change has been getting hit hard by Ronaldo. Well hit average of 273 on straight changes. That's second worst among starting pitchers in the major leagues.
In the air, left-hand side. Garcia's underneath, and Duda won't tag.
That was a wise choice. Now, normally the center fielder calls for that ball. He's a captain in the outfield, but Adam Engel gave way. The reason is Leary's arm is a whole lot better than Adam Engel's. So you let the man with the big arm catch it. There he does, sets up nicely, and no chance of scoring. So good coordination on the part of the Sox outfield, and they let the right man in that situation, in a throwing situation. Garcia got it in nicely.
So the Royals inning up to Cheslor Cuthbert, 25-year-old third baseman.
Biggest out of the inning by far. You get him out, you get out with just 2 runs.
There's strike 1. Lopez has gone away from the fastball later in this inning after he's given up a bundle of hits on it here in the first.
Cuthbert, a Nicaraguan, and the finest Cheslor in the league.
Cheslor Chesley Cuthbert. In the air, first base side. Jose, another chance by the tarp, makes this grab, and the inning is over. Royals get a couple, and we'll play the second. And we'd like to welcome all the White Sox fans in Southern Illinois watching on Wabash Independent Networks.
Hello, Wabash.
They are open-minded down there, Independent Networks of Wabash. There's strike 1 to Yohan Moncada, who's got 13 extra base hits, so the slugging percentage at .563 He's top 15 in Major League Baseball in extra base hits so far in 2018. Most of that work, though, has come from the left side of the plate. And as you mentioned, Ricky Renteria, who's out today and tomorrow, attending to the funeral of his mother, Angela, has mentioned that it's just a need for more significant at-bats for Moncada against left-handed pitching.
Just not even close to as many left-handers in baseball as there are right-handed starters.
3-1 on Moncada.
Might have heard the saying, if you're going to give him up, make sure you give him up long. So left-handed hitting .302, right-handed, and that's just a product of not getting the ABs. He eventually will smooth that out.
3-2 on Moncada. In case you were wondering, the Sox have guys that hit the ball very hard. You may have seen that with your own eyes. However, here are the numbers. 95+ miles an hour. Percentage of batted balls. Moncada is 3rd in Major League Baseball. Davidson and Abreu 7th and 8th. And Yohan takes ball 4 to lead off the 2nd inning.
You'd love to come right back and at least score 1. Because right now Kansas City has a whole lot of momentum after that 1st inning, and Duffy, who had trouble in the 1st, is having trouble locating here in the 2nd. So Ned Yost, who had offseason surgery and credits his surgeon with saving his life after falling while hunting and shattered his pelvis. They put him back together again, and he is right back on the bench, a bench that has seen for him a great deal of success here in Kansas City.
Trace Thompson takes a strike. Ned Yost, this homestand, has a group of those medical personnel who helped save his life coming to the ball yard. In fact, tomorrow for the doubleheader, they'll be here.
Get ready for a long day. It's a split doubleheader. Starts at 1. The second game starts at 7:15. We talked about exit velocity, which is all the rage this year. The average home run exit velocity for Danny Duffy, 112.2. That's 3rd highest out of 152 starters in the major leagues. Average 104.6. So when he does give them up, he gives them up long.
All the rage. You make it sound like the slinky.
Well, everybody is talking about it, and they're doing a lot to change their launch angle. Exit velocity is quantified now, and it makes a big difference, not only on home runs, because the home runs are going to go anyway, but on ground balls through the infield. Exit velocity is essential. It'll get you 20 more hits a year.
Well, here's why exit velocity matters by the numbers, if you'll indulge for a moment.
Sure. We got all kinds of time. I'm not going anywhere.
You're not?
No.
You got nothing to do?
Absolutely not.
So last year in Major League Baseball, you hit the ball 90 miles an hour. Your batting average was .252. You add 8 miles an hour. Average jumps to .435.
I mean, it's really startling when you quantify it, and that's what they're doing now.
Left side of the infield, Cuthbert to 2nd, and again, that's all they'll have. 5-4 on the fielder's choice. Thompson to 1st with 1 down, and here's what you'll see coming up on our telecast as you take a look at our menu. A long road back to Major League Baseball. The man who leads the country in Tommy John surgeries is back in an MLB uniform. The AL Central is the facial hair division of baseball, evidently, according to Cut 4, the MLB website. And then cycle time. Jose Valentin. On this day in White Sox history, he had a pretty good stash, by the by.
He had a good one. Very distinctive looking fellow.
Turned into a minor league manager.
By the way, the minor league manager who currently is running the Dash at Winston-Salem got a chance to be a wonderful major league manager. That's Omar Vizquel. I was watching him coach first base for the Tigers, thinking that man will be a quality major league manager, and the Sox have him in their system.
Just turned 51 a couple of days ago, Omar Vizquel.
Absolutely, he could still play the infield. There's no doubt in my mind, because he had as good a hands as maybe ever played the game.
Two 2-0 on Garcia. Ball's hit to right center field pretty deep. Jay is back. It's over his glove. Leury Garcia sprinting to second base. Trace Thompson on his way home. Garcia's into third. It's a one-out triple, and it's 2-1.
Well, Jason and I were talking before the game. One of the things Kansas City doesn't have, with Lorenzo Cain gone, they don't have a burner in center field. They're trying to make do with John Jay. Quite frankly, he's a good enough outfielder. Almonte played center field last night, and Jay does not have big speed. So this ball slicing away, making a good effort, but coming up short, and Leury flying to third base. So he drives in a run. That is his fourth. Cuts the lead in half, and they have indeed come back against Danny Duffy.
Fifth career triple as Engel jabs a bunt down. Garcia's coming home. The Sox have tied the game. Adam Engel gets it across.
Left-hander on the mound. The best play is the push bunt up the right side, and that's exactly what Engel did, driving home his sixth, manufacturing a run. Good play by Adam Engel, well executed, and we'll watch it again. This is a safety squeeze. That means that Leury is not running to the plate because he figures if it's not a good bunt, you just go back to third. It is a good bunt. No chance for Duffy, the left-hander, and he's got to get it to first, but not in time to stop the run.
That's two-time Carolina League Manager of the Year, Joe McEwing, pushing the buttons today. And Adam Engel doing the job to get it down. You see the fire in Super Joe's eyes on the bench. I mean, he's got manager chops.
There's no doubt about it. And he's been interviewed, will be interviewed again. He's got a good chance to one day manage in the major leagues.
He brought Winston-Salem to the finals of the Carolina League in 2010. They eventually lost to Brad Peacock's Potomac Nationals in the championship round back when Peacock was a member of the Washington farm system. Then Joe managed in AAA with the Sox in 2011. By the way, that Winston-Salem team he had, the last one in 2010, was led by starting pitcher Nate Jones.
Nate's found a home in the bullpen, and eventually he's going to find a home as a closer.
Two and two, Duffy to Anderson. Great response, though, in this inning. You said at least try to get one here.
Yep. Come back and do something to take momentum away from Kansas City. Not only one, but tying it at 2. So very productive second inning. Duffy, who struggled in the first inning, struggling here again in the second.
Firewood pop up, and Duffy is underneath. That will do it in the second inning. But Super Joe's Sox today getting hydrated with a bunt. Adam Engel with the squeeze. Duffy threw him out. Sox will take the run.
Charlotte Knights take on the Norfolk Tides. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. and you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
Norfolk and Charlotte playing right now. The Knights are trailing 4-1, and we are hopeful tomorrow. We are efforting, as they say, to hear from Charlotte pitching coach Steve McCaddy on the progress of Michael Kopech during our telecast of the day game tomorrow, a split doubleheader on WGN.
For the game, we talked with a longtime scout, Sal Butera, whose son Drew plays for these Kansas City.
Abreu, the bobble, the recovery, and Lopez is there for round number 1, you were saying?
Well, talking with Sal Butera, he has seen our minor league extensively, and he was talking about all the talent down there. He's talking about Michael Kopech. He was talking about Dylan Cease. He was talking about Eloy Jimenez, who he said can really hit. And that's no surprise to anybody who has seen him hit. But with all the talent down there, these guys are not quite ready yet, but they will be in the not too distant future. And now all of the scouts sent to take a look at the system, realizing that this is not your typical White Sox system. There's talent up and down every level on every team, and a lot of talent at that.
One of those talented players, Dane Dunning, was promoted from Winston-Salem to AA Birmingham, so congratulations to Dane.
That's always a pleasure, and you usually get to the next city when you're promoted very quickly.
The other way doesn't happen so fast.
Takes a little longer usually. The same trip, and it's astonishing because you can get there in about 6 hours normally, but it takes you 3 days when you're going down a level.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
I was sent down one time, and it's startling. You don't think about it when you're on that plane, but you do think about it when you see that ballpark. And you walk into the park where you have been before, because usually in those days you went to AAA before the major leagues. Nowadays AA to the major leagues is pretty common. But when you've seen AAA going up, it looks brilliant. And you see it coming down, you wonder how you got back there.
Slash through the right side, Escobar with a 1-out base hit. When I was in AAA, this is one of those stories that you wish never happened to anybody. When I was in AAA, there was a pitcher that we had, who shall remain nameless for the purposes of this story, who got a phone call in the hotel. It was a night game. We were playing in Toledo. Got a phone call in the hotel, and it was the manager who said, "Hey, you're going up." And then 20 minutes later, we got another phone call, and they said, "You know, they actually need a starter instead of a reliever. Sorry, we're taking the other guy." It's never supposed to happen. However, it did.
I've seen a lot of things in the game. I saw a pitcher who said to his wife, "I'm going to Chicago." And his wife and the pitcher packed the car, and she headed to Chicago. On the plane there, the charter, he was pulled off the plane because they had made a deal. They had to figure out where his wife was and tell her to redirect to the AAA city.
Hit by pitch, Merrifield gets smoked.
So Whit Merrifield, who has made a career getting on base against our Sox, gets on the painful way this time. He's hit for just a second time, and this one catches him flush. He also gets a piece of Wellington Castillo, so he didn't like that one particularly well. Merrifield was given the day off yesterday. He'd been struggling somewhat, but Sox pitching brings out the best in his bat, hitting a lifetime .301 coming in.
He's one of those guys you look and you say, how is he not an all-star? He's an all-star against this team.
Good solid player, however. Normally very good baseball acumen.
Breaking ball strike on Moustakas, who bashed a home run on a fastball in the first on a 2-2 count. Three hits against Lopez for Moustakas. All of them have been home runs. It's drilled foul, 0-2. All right, so Moustakas is barreling the ball up pretty good. What are you throwing?
You want to throw him out of the strike zone, and it's probably best not to try to miss inside. So if you go with a straight change, that's one thing, but I would prefer a fastball. I would prefer it up, and I would prefer it out away, out off the plate. Make it look like he can catch up to it. We'll see what Wellington wants.
2-strike pitch from Lopez. It is a high fastball, slightly away and fouled off.
Well, it looked like Wellington wanted it inside, but that ball moving well, moving away from Moustakas, he couldn't do much with it. He's not going to do much with it upstairs.
Merrifield at first, Escobar at second. 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three, 98 upstairs, see ya. That was the fast pitch of the game, powered by Xfinity, America's best internet service provider.
That's the spot, up and away. You can't do anything with it. You can't lay off it, and he retires a very tough hitter. So now 1 out away from getting out of it, but a very large man stands in his way.
This is a really tough team to strike out. Really tough. Kansas City, fewest strikeouts in Major League Baseball coming in.
They've always been that way. They've always put the bat on the ball, and you put the ball in play, you put the pressure on the other team's defense. It usually works out pretty well for you.
Very difficult to strike out when you swing early enough that you rarely get to strike two.
Well, also, if you're throwing Salvador Perez anything in the strike zone, once you get ahead, you're making a big mistake, because he's going to swing at it anyway. You might as well get him out of the zone. And Ronaldo is ahead early in this one.
First pitch strikes to every batter in the inning so far. Was in the zone. It's fouled away. 0-2. Good pitch.
He did put that one in on his hands, and Perez could not extend. And Perez looks back to Sean Barber and pretty much asks him if that was a strike. He wants to know where the strike zone is, especially inside, because when you're striding toward the plate, and Salvi has pretty much a straight up stance. He's not open, he's not closed. But if he does stride to the plate, he wants to know where that inside corner is going to be called, and that one was a strike.
Nothing in two. High fastball.
Good pitch out of the zone, and Perez could only foul it back. Oh, a real good pitch. If he wants to break out a slider, he's going to break it out. Throw it on the outside corner, make it look like a strike, and you're going to find Perez following that ball all the way back to the dugout.
Two on, two out, second inning. Set up outside. Pitch leaked out over the plate. Perez popped it up. Moncada for out number 3. Royals have left 4. Tie ball game. more homers in a game this season. It's happened 5 times. Only one team has done it twice. The Royals and Angels have had it happen to them twice. The Angels did it once in revenge. Kansas City is still yet to do it.
Kansas City's going to be hard-pressed to do it. They don't have a lot of thunder in this lineup. They also play in a pretty big ballpark. Although the Sox have made it look small this year, normally it's a hard place to hit a home run, but the wind hasn't blown the last couple of days.
Sox have 11 homers in those 2 games that you saw on the board. 11 home runs in those 2 games. 20 other games, 19 homers. Buy in bulk.
Outfield straight away for Yolmer. Cuthbert at third, thinking he might lay it down, but Yolmer is not of the bunting variety.
Not a member of the bunting Yolmers.
No, he decides. Well, you talked about the shirt that he wears. Tell our folks what the shirt was, because it pretty much typifies Yolmer.
He had a shirt on yesterday before the game that said rules of bunting. There were 2 rules of bunting. Number 1 was don't.
That's good.
And number 2 was hit a dinger.
Well, in lieu of that, Joe McEwing has already broken out the bunt and used it to best advantage by Adam Engel pushing it up the right side. Now, he did it last night, almost got away with it. It trickled foul, but today he made sure it was well out on the grass, because all you have to do is put it in play with the speed of Leury Garcia.
I thought Joe McEwing and his sentiment were wonderful before the game. He was asked whether or not he thought Ricky Renteria, who is attending the funeral of his mother Angela, whether or not Ricky was going to watch the game. And Joe said, I hope not. Meaning, that ball's back to Duffy, and he throws out Sanchez one away. Meaning, Ricky is such a tireless worker. He's always at the ballpark before noon. I mean, he's always at the park. But Joe said, look, this is time for Ricky to be with his family. He knows where his heart is. Ricky's heart is at the ballpark at all times, in part, but he hopes that Ricky's being able to have a serene, thoughtful remembrance of his mother.
Being a manager in the major leagues is all encompassing, because even when you're not at the park, you're thinking about the lineup, or you're thinking about something you did in the ball game you played last night. But there is a time when you should be there for your family. I think Ricky Renteria understands that. And hopefully he will be there taking care of everybody. And then when he comes back, he will realize he's done whatever he can do and get back to baseball. And that will be Sunday here for the finale of this series.
We were sitting in Ricky Renteria's office before the game, well before the game yesterday. This is after he had heard about his mom passing away a day later than that. Sitting in his office, and he listens to music all the time. There's just always music playing underneath. He's got a Pandora station on, or whatever it might be. It's 2 down here in the 3rd. And he kind of sat back in his chair, and he thought for a second, and he goes, you know, Mom always had music on. Always had the radio on at home. And he kind of turned and he said, maybe that's where I get it. And you know, we're such a reflection of who our parents were, but we don't always acknowledge it in day-to-day life. And he just had one of those moments where he thought, you know what? That's why music is such a big part of me, because it is. I mean, music follows Ricky Renteria.
All the time, whether it's the bus coming from the airport or the bus to the airport.
Plane, his office.
Yeah, he's got it on. That one was a strike. And fortunately, the count is evened at 1.
Danny Duffy is double parked right now.
Starting to pick up the pace because he's starting to feel better. This is the first inning where he's had his rhythm.
Into left. Alex Gordon's underneath. And that's a 1-2-3 inning. Finally feels like summer's on the way. In the 60s and beautiful in Kansas City. guaranteed rates. And Matt Rose last night with AA Birmingham, couple of home runs. Young man who came over in the Jose Quintana deal for the Cubs, former 11th round pick out of Georgia State. He goes 3 for 4, 2 dingers, his first 2 of the year for Ryan Newman-Barons. And Birmingham beat the Biloxi Shuckers. Get your cotton candy here. Oh, they have yellow. What's that taste like?
Completely different. Oh, it's
Banana?
magnificent. It tastes a lot like banana. Actually, I like the puce flavor. It's really good.
You know, I have a marketing idea for baseball teams, right? You see, you're cringing.
No, I think it's going to be a wonderful idea.
You do?
Yeah.
So when you play a doubleheader, one in the daytime and one in the nighttime, it's called a split doubleheader.
Okay.
And the teams are here for quite a long time.
They are.
So I would propose that you get a banana company to sponsor them, right? And then in between games, you just have a giant banana split bar. So they'd be a banana split doubleheader.
Yeah, that's nice. No, that's actually a delightful idea. We will try it out. If we only had a split doubleheader to try it out on. But it's coming tomorrow, I guess.
Tomorrow, it would build team camaraderie.
Would that?
No.
I prefer barbecue between games, and we'll see if we can arrange that.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Did you bring your dry rub?
No, that actually is most likely Memphis barbecue at the Rendezvous. Rendezvous. Very good.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Lopez to Lucas Duda.
Hit the ball very hard the first time up. That was the 3rd of 4 hits in a row.
Boy, he wanted to swing at that off-speed pitch and didn't at the last moment.
One of the reasons is he read it all the way. So Ronaldo is tipping something in that straight change. And that's one of the reasons why it's getting hit at an alarming rate as far as league average is concerned.
Left-hand side, Garcia. Or out number 1. Entertain your group of MVPs in a suite this season. White Sox suites offer the best experience and value. Single game suites start as low as $2,000. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com.
Got him on a fastball down. I told you about those changeup numbers. Ronaldo, second worst in the league in getting changeups hit awfully hard. Well hit average of 273 against the changeup. League average .099. And usually that's a case of maybe dropping the arm angle just a touch. And with all the video, if you do anything in the changeup to alert the hitter that something is different, it gets hit hard. Last night, Jorge Soler put on a clinic. That fastball, Lucas tried to get inside, couldn't quite get it there. The exit velocity wasn't much. It was a towering fly ball that didn't make it by much, but made it by enough. Otherwise, a great night for Lucas Giolito. That was one that you know is there. He finally brought it out, and I think coincidentally it was 67 degrees at game time. He could feel his fingers, and actually the off-speed pitches more times than not were strikes.
And this may seem a little trivial what I'm about to say, but it certainly isn't, and I know you'll advocate for that. But talking to Lucas earlier today when we were at the Negro League Baseball Museum, he said finally got to wear short sleeves. Not that it's totally bothersome, but it certainly isn't the feel that he's used to.
No. You can extend a little bit more. There's no doubt that warm weather is conducive for this game, every aspect of this game.
Sheared to right and down. Soler is 2 for 2, and he squeals the brakes around first.
If you make a mistake with a fastball to Jorge Soler, he's going to make you pay the price. That fastball was down the middle, and even if it's 97, it doesn't matter much. Wellington wants it on the outside part of the plate, and that ball drifts over the middle. Soler on the inside out swing collects his second hit in 3 innings. And a good job by Thompson to get it back in and hold him to a single. So Trace charging the ball aggressively and making a good play.
I know there have been off-field issues with Jorge Soler, but he's one of the guys that we've seen this year that you watch and you say, man, offensively, he's a really talented guy. I mean, you feel like there's a big breakout season in that skill set.
Unlimited offensive ability. Consistency on and off the field, probably the key. I had someone who knew nothing about baseball say something to me that hit a chord in 1979, and they said, you are not good enough to be inconsistent both off the field and on the field. Stay consistent in both places and you'll get the best out of your ability. And I tried that and it worked pretty well.
Go to first. Soler is back.
Soler's a very big man, and you can understand why the Royals were ecstatic to get him from the Cubs, because they believe that his best years are well ahead of him. They're hoping it starts this year.
He's 26 years old, Jorge Soler. Okada has it ting off his glove into right field.
Yuan almost got to it, thought he should have had it, but at the last instant, he couldn't make the play. It's a sinking line drive, and Yuan went up. Soler has to get back to the bag because he thinks it's going to be caught. There's no way you can go to third there because you get doubled up if it does stick in the glove. So he just trots to second base. And now, once again, it's Don Cooper not wanting to let this game get away at this point.
Who said that to you about being consistent on and off the field? Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
You want to tell us?
Yeah, because you met her. It's a friend of mine. Been friends for a long time. You met
I thought
Ruth.
it was a baseball person.
No, it was. I told you it was a person who knew nothing about baseball at all. I mean, zero about baseball.
I thought you might be just dismantling somebody.
No. The quote was actually, it's impossible to be inconsistent off the field and then be consistent on the field because you're not that good. And she was exactly right, despite the fact that, again, she knew nothing about baseball. So she hit the right chord, said the right thing, and sometimes it's not necessarily the message. It might be the messenger. And in this case, it worked.
You never know where good advice is going to come from.
You just listen, absorb, and you discard what you don't need, and one sentence can turn around your career. And as long as these guys are wearing uniforms, that one sentence might be waiting to be imparted by somebody they don't even know today. And they'll run into somebody, and if you do listen to advice, regardless of where it comes from. You can discard all of it if you like, but just maybe one thing will make you 1% better.
And in a game that has such a homogeneity in terms of data now, right? Everybody's got everything, and proprietarily they just change what they care about more. Like organizations weight certain things in different ways, but they've all got the same info, at least numerically.
I talked to Rick Hahn about that. He feels that 80% of every team, their information is the same as every other team. And the 20% difference is not necessarily in a revolutionary statistic. It's how you weight certain things. You just mentioned it. The value you place on certain of the sabermetric aspects of baseball. But the human element still comes into it, and as long as we have better scouts than the other team, we're going to be in better shape. And that is a back to the future scenario that's coming in baseball.
Well, you wonder if actually there's a hybrid there. Just thinking out loud, if you could somehow quantify or begin to quantify through a personality assessment or something like that, right? What clubhouse mix works best? What you're going to add in personality, how does it fit with your current clubhouse? You can make a lot of money.
Well, you can, and that comes down to psychology and the people who employ it. But I think we have a great system as far as the Sox are concerned, because with Kenny and Rick, Jeremy Haber, and everybody in that front office, Danny Zion, Dan Fabian, they get together and they mix the best of the sabermetricians with the best of the old school baseball people. The Cubs do it very well with Theo, Jason McLeod, and Jed Hoyer. They do a nice job of the same thing that the Sox do.
He went around strike three. Lopez thought he had him on the previous pitch. He'll take the strikeout here on 2-2.
Take another look, and a very good pitch by Ronaldo this time. It's a good slider. Keeps it down and away. Cuthbert cannot check his swing. And so another inning of trouble, as Ronaldo has had trouble each and every inning, and yet you look and there's only 2 runs on the board despite 7 Kansas City hits. A hit batsman. The only reason he's been able to get out of it is because he hasn't walked anybody.
Pitch count's especially important tonight, considering the split doubleheader tomorrow. You're going to play 2. You're going to tax your bullpen, certainly.
Well, fortunately, Ronaldo is a bit of a horse in that he's going to easily go over 100 pitches. The question is, can he at least get through 6 with 100 pitches? Not the way the pitches are piling up now. But back to Chicago baseball, I think it's enjoying a renaissance period. I think we're at the point where both teams, for the first time in a long time, are going to be very good simultaneously. We saw the Cubs win their World Series. We saw them last year fall a little short, but they tried, and they mortgaged some of their future by getting Jose Quintana and trading Cease and Jimenez to the Sox, which is going to help this team build to the future. Love to see a crosstown classic for a World Series.
To left field, Garcia on the move, still coming toward the line to make the grab and finish off Kansas City.
At Arthur Bryant Barbecue, we were there this afternoon. We actually had lunch there. There you see the ribs, you see the brisket, you don't see the turkey, which I had, but we'll be back and tell you more about it after this.
Chicago White Sox into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. So Matt Davidson takes ball number 1. Matty 0 for 1 after a ground ball back to the pitcher Danny Duffy in the first.
The first at bat was spent entirely away from Matt. Let's see how he goes this time.
Away 2-0. Matt, a father of 2, as we've talked about before. Brixton and Wake, his 2 children. And Matt was having some fun in the batting cage. There's strike 1. 2 balls and a strike. Matt trying to teach little Wakey to hit dingers.
Very easy. You just wait to get ahead in the count, and then you look for something middle in like this. He tried to get it middle in, but threw it away. So Matt has another very hittable pitch. And you can afford to zone hit at 2-0 and 3-1. You can look for a pitch or look for a location. If you're looking location, then anything there you're going to swing at. If you're looking pitch, for instance, if you're looking fastball, you don't swing at a curve. This is going to be a slider in. See if you can get it before it breaks.
Davidson in the air, right center field. Matt has done it again.
He got the slider and got it out over the plate.
Give him the deed to Kauffman Stadium. It's his. Unreal what he's done to the Royals.
Ford home run replay. He gets that slider he's looking for. He gets it out over the plate and doesn't try to pull it. He takes it to right center field, and Danny Duffy is a victim once again of Matt Davidson. That is number 8, his 16th driven in, and the big man is on fire.
So for when he's old enough to remember, as that ball is just drilled by Moncada, left center field to the warning track, and it's caught by Jay. What I was going to say is, for when he's old enough to remember that somebody has said this, little Wake Davidson needs to take whatever advice Dad was giving to him about hitting dingers and run with it.
He got the pitch he wanted in the spot he wanted. And trick, Todd Steverson is saying you didn't roll over. You kept your hand flat. You went out and got it. He led with the knob of the bat and took it to right center field. A big blast.
This is starting to look a lot like Danny Duffy. The first game we saw him on opening day. He got staked to an early lead. Sox came storming back, ended up winning the game. As Trace takes low, 1 ball, 1 strike. So here's how quickly Matt Davidson changes television. Our videotape room, which builds the replays that you see and all of that, had all of Matt's 5 home runs at Kauffman Stadium built and ready for action. That ball's into center field. Trace Thompson with a base hit. So all of that got built. They do all this toiling in the back in the tape room, and just as we were about to play it, it was going to be after that 3-1 pitch. Matt sends another one over the wall, and they have to do the whole thing over again. He basically just took our tape room sandcastle and kicked it over.
Well, you're looking for a pitch. The pitcher falls behind. You're looking in a location. You got everything you wanted and didn't miss it. And when you're hot, you're not going to miss him. When you're not hot, you're going to follow him straight back.
Garcia takes a strike. Well, the one problem for Matt Davidson is he's just always going to end up being our post-game interview. So he's going to have to hit the showers a little bit later.
Not all that bad. Not all that bad, especially if he keeps hitting him out, and he's not done yet. It's still a very lively park.
That is the wave that you ride with sluggers in Major League Baseball. Sometimes in this day and age, you're going to have runs where you strike out, and then you're just going to absolutely demolish baseballs like that man has done this series.
He loves the hitting background here. He feels very comfortable, and he's showing it. But it's a lot of home runs in one park over the course of just a few games, let alone a full season. When you hit 6 in 9 or 10 games, you're getting it done. You hit 6 in 3.5 games, and it's otherworldly. There you see 70 pitches. The first 2 problematic for Danny Duffy. He's not going to go deep into this, and Ned Yost is going to have to use that pen. And he also has a split doubleheader tomorrow because we are the opposition.
All right, here's your Sox Math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a road prize. Homers the Sox have hit in Kansas City in 2018 starting the night. Divide the number of homers which came in the opener, multiply Davidson homers, add the number of losses in Kansas City this year. That's your Sox Math question. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins a prize from the road, and that is entering tonight because they all changed. Dave Ross doesn't have an abacus that he travels with.
But I had a plan, and the plan has gone awry. At the Negro League Museum today,
It's foul.
my plan was to get something and then use it as one of the prizes as we come home for whoever won Sox Math. However, some of the caps were so beautiful, and I bought 4 of them. So because they are that beautiful, I have decided to come up with another way, perhaps one of the breezers that you like so much.
Garcia to right field, and that is out number 2. Trace Thompson has to return to first. Matt Davidson here in Kansas City is starting to become Mookie Betts at Camden Yards 2 years later. It was 2016, and Mookie Betts, who's become one of the best players in baseball for the Red Sox, in 10 games at Camden Yards that year, had 8 home runs. So Matt's got a little work to do, but he's already very close to that number.
There's a huge difference, though. Camden Yards is much easier to hit home runs than here. And although 8 is ridiculous over 10 games, this is a tough park to hit home runs. Matt Davidson is making it look easy, but this is not easy. There's no hitter will tell you this is a really great home run hitter's park.
You know what? If I were a major league team right now, I might just think about spending a 2034 draft pick on Wake Davidson. Just right now, in advance. Kansas City might.
You don't have to use a draft pick. Just buy futures. You're familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, buy futures. Make sure they're open-ended if you can. See what happens. Diminishing return, however, as you know, there's a time premium on futures.
The only fear is that Wake might say, you know what, forget about baseball. He's such a big Supercross fan. He loves the motorbikes, and there's a chance he might forego baseball for another sport. That would hurt the value of your future.
I would think so.
Ball and a strike on Adam Engel, who had that great bunt in the second inning.
Outfield shading a touch toward right center with John Jay in that position. Left and right with Gordon and Soler playing pretty much straight away. And the infield playing him as a dead pull hitter.
Adam to left center field, and this finds its way to the warning track. Trace Thompson around third. Adam gunning it for third. It's an RBI triple. The Sox offense is churning in a big way in Kansas City.
It's 2 driven in for Adam Engel, and this time he crushes this ball. We talk about this being a good triples park, and it goes beyond just the spacious alleys. The reason is that it's pretty tough to one-hop it out of the park. They're high walls, and take a look at this. This is what happens. So you drill it over Jay's head. Adam Engel sees the play in front of him, doesn't have to pick up Nick Capra because he knows he can make it into third base easily. And that ball has no chance of bouncing out of the field of play. That's why triples abounding here in Kansas City. Danny Duffy struggling. Sean Barber coming out to break up the meeting at the mound, and usually they're just doing that to get the bullpen up and going. But Salvi Perez, Cal Eldred, the pitching coach out there, and Cal has had his say.
Former Sox right-hander Cal Eldred,
yep,
among others.
Pretty good pitcher in his time. Threw straight over the top and is a big man to boot.
5 and below in the order for the Sox. 5 through 9 have driven in and scored every run tonight. Call that a balanced lineup. Tim 1 for 2. And he takes strike 2 from Danny Duffy, who's only got 1 strikeout and 1 walk. Everything else in play so far tonight. That almost hit Tim with some late life. 1 and 2.
Danny Duffy has struggled. 3 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs. And a big man out at third base to drive home. It's still very early in this game.
Anderson to right. Soler back, and he's short of the warning track to make the grab. The new owner of Kauffman Stadium, Matt Davidson, It's all his, folks. 3 balls in the fountain.
Talks with Robinson Cano about a Sox player who idolizes him, Yoan Moncada. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Those are actually people waiting for the White Sox Talk podcast to be thrown into the crowd. See the vigor and the interest.
A lot of Sox fans here.
Yeah.
We saw him today at Arthur Bryant's, as a matter of fact.
And at the Negro League Baseball Museum, too.
It was... It's wonderful weather if they looked ahead, which you know people did, and it's a very short trip down here, and they get to see the Sox in a ballpark that they love to hit in.
And by the way, travel tip. Stoney and Jason's travel tips. When you come to Kansas City, you have to go to the Negro League Baseball Museum and see the history and the social knowledge and the wonderful uniforms from back in the day that they have, and some things that you couldn't have known about baseball unless you stopped by there.
I didn't believe that it would have the profound influence on me that it did. Because you got a chance to see guys who never got a chance to play in the major leagues because of the social conditions of the time. Yet they formed their own league.
Yeah, Rook Foster was so instrumental in forming the first organized league, and I didn't know he actually, his life finished in Kankakee.
There was something else that was really interesting that we never knew about. And again, you could go 5 times and you could look at everything and still pick up new things each and every time. But one of the things that was amazing was they had something called a Green Book, and it was assembled by a man named Mr. Green. I don't know his first name. And from all over the country, hotels and nightclubs and restaurants that were friendly to black players, and musicians like Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong, guys who traveled the country, because the Jazz Museum is connected to the Negro Museum. And it was absolutely wonderful to hear about how this Green Book was used by each and every one of the musicians and the ball players, because musicians want to be ball players and ball players want to be musicians, even back then. And so they used it to know the safe places to go and how to get there in every city. And they were able to do that when they traveled to play or whether they traveled to involve themselves in barnstorming tours. We learned about Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell and Double Duty Radcliffe and so many others that were instrumental in bringing baseball to life for a whole segment of the population that never got a chance to see them in the major leagues until Jackie Robinson in 1947. And we can't forget Larry Doby.
The first African-American player in the American League, as Garcia gets over toward the line, and he is there to make the catch for 2 down.
And I played under Larry Doby because Bill Veeck anointed him the manager of the White Sox 1978. And Larry Doby broke the color barrier with the Cleveland Indians. And then after that, a whole lot of others came in. Boston was the last to integrate. An infielder by the name of Pumpsy Green was the final piece of the puzzle. All the baseball teams were integrated at that point. The Red Sox integrated in 1959. And so in a situation where better late to the party than never, the Red Sox then had some wonderful black stars, and one that I hated to see come to bat, Jim Rice, a Hall of Famer.
Well, think about this. I mean, before the first official league was formed, and even at times when the leagues were formed, we take this for granted that the schedule is out. You can find it online, and the Sox will be in this stadium for 3 games or 4 games or whatever it might be. At that point, basically, and you talked about musicians, you're booking stadiums, you're booking arenas, and you've got to draw, and it can't rain that day or else you're not going to make your money. It's basically a barnstorming tour, and at points they had to have almost a side act as well along with the game, and that's where Jesse Owens came in, the very talented track star who would show up and race both people and animals. There was one story of Jesse Owens racing a horse and winning at a baseball game. Castillo makes the catch, and Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball have certainly done a nice job supporting the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, offering $1 million last June. A wonderful place to go if you're a baseball fan. Guaranteed rate, your trusted teammate throughout the mortgage process. Experience the difference today at rate.com. Is that a full moon, Steve?
I would say it's pretty close to it, which means that you better have a lot of garlic in your room because vampires abound. And although I would tell you to take a steak, you would eat the steak. So don't take that, but keep the garlic. It'll keep the vampires away, because I have done that consistently since I started playing baseball. I haven't seen one vampire yet.
You bring garlic on the road?
Absolutely. In case I run into an Italian fellow like yourself who puts garlic on ice cream.
Italian Dracula?
Yeah.
He only goes after you with his fangs if you don't have vodka sauce on your person. Ball and a strike from Danny Duffy. And here's your Sox Math winner for today. Your answer is this: 12 homers for the Sox in Kansas City starting tonight, divided by 6 in the opener. That's 2 times 5 for Davidson, 10 plus 0 losses in Kansas City. Sox match P. Knowles, the Yolmer of 2018. is your winner. He was SSS P. Knowles, and he's changed his name in the vein of Yolmer Sanchez. He saw it go so well for Carlos turned Yolmer that Patrick has decided to change his handle.
I was wondering when he would jump up and win again, because Ganella Breads was dominating.
I think P. Knowles wasn't playing because he was doing all the paperwork to change his name. That's taxing, time consuming. Up the middle, Duffy snares it. Little break dance from Danny Duffy for out number 1.
Duffy's had a couple of shots back up the middle and been equal to the task. This time he goes down, able to make the play, and from his knees, the easily out Yolmer erased at first base. Pretty good play as this one almost gets over his head, trickles away, but able to stay right with it.
Abreu pumps it to right field. Soler is there for out number 2. So this may be hard to put into words for you, but what's it like to have a baseball coming back at you on the mound?
Well, because it comes back to you, you don't know the velocity. All you know is it's coming back to you, and pitchers react when they throw a pitch in a place that they believe the guy is going to take it back up the middle. Sometimes what happens is the guy gets it off the end of the bat. So the velocity of the bat looks harder than it really is. You throw the glove up and then the ball doesn't get there. And then you're wondering where the ball is. And sometimes it trickles over your head. Sometimes it hits you in another part of your body. More times than not, if you have good hands, you won't get hit above the waist. And I spent 14 years professionally and pitched from the time I was 10 years old on and never got hit by a line drive above the waist because my hands were good and I squared off my follow through. Guys today do not square off the follow through because it's max effort most of the time, and that's where things have changed. If I say max effort, they throw everything into every pitch and try to throw the fastball as hard as they can. Consequently, left-handers will fall off the mound to the third base side. Right-handers will fall off the mound to the first base side, and you can't defend yourself. So consequently, you're good to the glove hand side and vulnerable to the arm side. And that's why we see a lot of guys get hit as they're falling off the mound.
To left. 1, 2, 3 innings for Danny Duffy. Second time he's gone through that part of the order that way. But the Sox have a steady stream of runs. Record at Kauffman Stadium as today Sox picked up 2 in the second inning and 2 more in the fourth. Matt Davidson a home run, a couple of 3-base hits as well, and Reynaldo Lopez, who ran into some trouble in the first, has done a nice job of stranding 6 thus far tonight. Salvador Perez leads off the 5th against Lopez. Down the line, Yolmer holds the line and guns him down, 1 away. That was brilliant.
What a play by Yolmer. He knew he had some time, but the toughest part was diving to his right. He takes a bit of a curtain call, and you know his pitcher is ecstatic. Just a big effort. That one coming with overspin off the dirt, and Yolmer pours it across, gets Perez by plenty. Salvi can't run well, but this is an outstanding effort. And Ronaldo Lopez is a very happy man. Gives him, oh, not quite a golf clap, but pretty close to it.
Strike 1 to Lucas Duda. Yolmer Sanchez, by the way, you want that dude on your baseball team.
He does everything right just about every day, and he can play anywhere. He's a starting third baseman these days. He can hit anywhere in the order. Last night we saw him hit third. He did get a base hit last night. He does have a hitting streak, and defensively he can do it. He does not have a third baseman's arm. That's because he's not a third baseman. He's a second baseman who can play some shortstop and third, and I don't doubt he can play just about anywhere and do a good job of it.
I was just going to say, you think about skill set and you think about the way he handles himself in the field, you would imagine he'd be able to play the outfield.
I don't doubt it. But if Ricky Renteria or Joe McEwing the next 3 games, if they want to put him out there, he's going to give you a good effort.
2-1 is low, 3 balls and a strike. So what's really interesting about Lopez tonight is if you looked at his numbers or his starts for the first month of this season, you'd say, well, the problem is the control. The problem is walks. He's not getting hit anywhere. He hasn't walked a guy through 4 1/3. As that one's lined into the shift, and there is out number 1, Tim Anderson on it. Out number 2, I should say. 2 down here in the 5th. Tim got stung on that one, by the way. Grab your friends and head to the park for Bleachers and Brews. Get a bleacher ticket and 2 domestic beers for just $22 to select upcoming games. Must be 21 and over with a valid ID. To buy tickets, visit whitesox.com/brews. 2 down. Ball 1 to Jorge Soler. Just missed. 2 balls, no strikes.
There you see a tough first and a tough third. And he's been walking the tightrope, but so far his boys have gotten him 4. He's given up 2.
On 2-0, he gets a high fly ball. This is a 1-2-3 inning for Ronaldo Lopez. 8 in a row retired as we take a jaunt around Major League Baseball when we come back. Back to Kansas City. Here is Matt Davidson. Then Yohan Moncada and Trace Thompson in inning number 6. Sox with the lead here in KC. And Davidson takes a called strike. Matt with yet another homer in this ballpark. Came as the leadoff man in the 4th.
First at bat, he stayed away completely from Matt Davidson, and there you see against the Royals this year. That's fairly impressive in 4 games, 6 home runs, 10 driven in, and 7 for 12. We'll go to St. Louis. Matt will stay here to hit for a few more days, and then we'll pick him up back in Chicago.
And don't forget, Kansas City has 3 trips to Chicago this year too. So look, Matt's got plenty of games to face the Royals. On the ground at first, right at Duda, and this is a wonderful story of perseverance we can share with you. Tampa Bay has not had a great season, but Johnny Venters, the left-hander formerly in the Braves farm system, makes his first major league appearance since 2012. It's his 3rd Tommy John surgery that he's come back from in his career. First player ever to do it. And how about this? He said after the 3rd diagnosis that he didn't want to come back. He wasn't interested in it. He talked to the doctors. He talked to his family. They said it would be a good idea for him to try. He said he'd be stubborn if he didn't make the effort. And there he is back in the majors after a 3rd Tommy John surgery.
I think this was not only for him. I think one of the reasons why his family probably mentioned that was that the surgical procedures are getting so good, and there will be other people that will contemplate a 3rd Tommy John, and so they will look at Johnny Venters and say, he made it back. He worked his butt off and made it back, and so can I. So maybe not only for him and not his family, but maybe for others who will follow. That's a very good story, and we're happy he is back. Don't know how long it's going to hang on, but the fact that he made it back, that's the accomplishment. Having a 3rd surgery and getting back to the major leagues at the pinnacle of his profession is the story to take with you, and think about if you've had a couple already and contemplating hanging it up.
Out number 2 in the inning. Hey, join the White Sox Sunday, May 6th for Nurse Appreciation Day presented by St. Xavier University. All Illinois nurses and their families and friends can enjoy a specially priced ticket package, which includes a game ticket and a White Sox scrub top for the first 1,500 fans. To get tickets, visit whitesox.com/nurse or call 866-SOX-GAME. Mark Topkin, the Tampa Bay Rays beat writer, had a great story today about Johnny Venters and his recovery. And to a man, everybody not only in the Rays farm system that encountered him, but also the training staff and the recovery staff and everybody medically associated with the Rays down in Port Charlotte in their facility where rehabs happen, say that Johnny Venters already, inspiration certainly a factor as you were talking about, but hands-on wise was a great influence to the young kids who are just there for extended spring training or rehabbing some in-season injury. So he sprinkled kind of his dust on a number of different places within the Rays organization. 1-2 is in the dirt from Danny Duffy to Trace Thompson.
Ben is up and going, and pitch number 105 on the way, so it's Kevin McCarthy. He's getting loosened up in a hurry after his duties in the house.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Thompson. Danny Duffy has retired 6 in a row.
He's at the point now where Ned Yost wants him to get through 6 and then go to the pen.
He did get through 6, and the pen may be on the other side. Kansas City will bat first. Sox up 2. Tigers Pizza when the Sox take on the Rangers Friday, May 18th. Italian Heritage Night features specially priced tickets and a post-game fireworks show. To get tickets, visit whitesox.com/Italy. I'll be making pasta for the night. Hope you can join us.
Remember your garlic.
Never forget.
Full moon and all.
There's a strike to John Jay. How about Reynaldo Lopez and settling in? 8 in a row that he's set down since Jay's single in the 3rd.
Nice
Jay's
of you
single in the 6th.
Nice of you to mention that, because it's your fault that the spell was broken.
So great to hear from you. Let's talk about facial hair because I'm sick of you. The AL Central seems to have the best mustaches in history, according to Cut 4 of Major League Baseball. They rated the top 9, and 6 of them, including Guido Sarducci there, Bob Coluccio, Ross Grimsley, and your former guy, Danny Goodwin. How about that look?
It's a good look. Lots of hair in those days.
We don't have the baseball mustaches that we used to. That is one of the things that's gone away from the game. We saw Daniel Mingden in Oakland.
One of the guys primarily responsible for that, by the way, was Charlie Finley, who paid each and every one of those Oaklands of that era to grow a very healthy mustache. And everyone took him up on that because he wanted his team to look like the House of David, who, by the way, we did see today at the Negro League Museum. Pictures of them.
This could be 2. Tim spins it to Yoan. Quick turn, double play in a heartbeat.
That's the reason why you've got to keep your shortstop and second baseman together, because they have to know exactly where the throw is going to be regardless of where the ball is caught. Tim dips the back foot. Yoan stands right there, pretty much daring the pivot man, or as the pivot man, for Jay to get a piece of him. These days you don't run over the second baseman. You can't. But Jay slid right at the bag, and Yoan just stood right there, got a good solid throw off, and that was a nifty 6-4-3.
That was as smooth as we've seen them turn it, and they've been good together. That was sleek.
Well, they're going to be great together because Yoan's getting better, and Tim is very athletic. He's going to be able to throw from angles that most shortstops can only dream about. And that's why when you platoon one or the other, and mostly it's second basemen that get platooned. I know that the Royals have had some problems with it, with Merrifield in and out of the lineup playing different positions. Merrifield plays first, he plays the outfield, but Tim and Yoan have stayed as a pair. And there's a certain amount of comfort that the shortstop and second baseman playing together game after game after game. They know the range of their opposite counterpart. And that one behind Gordon. Now, he certainly was not throwing at Alex Gordon.
No.
Because when a guy's 0 for 2 and he's hitting 200, you're not going to want to put him on base with 2 outs and nobody on. So this one just gets away, and it catches him just below the 4. Alex Gordon is looking out at him. That's kind of ridiculous because you'd be the last guy in his lineup they'd throw at, Alex. You've been around long enough to know that.
Also, he should be used to it. He's the franchise leader in hit by pitch.
Well, but
91 of them. He got hit yesterday.
You get excited about the pitch being behind you. I can understand that. But you look at the situation and you say, there's no way in the world that he would be doing that.
No.
It's a 4-2 ball game.
The tying run to the plate.
You bring the tying run to the plate. And, you know, they still have pretty good hitters in Escobar. If he keeps it alive, Merrifield, Moustakas.
First pitch swinging. Escobar finishes off the bottom of the 6th. And here is why. It's a 24-year-old 6 and a 22-year-old turn to the veteran 3.
So Danny Duffy's night is done, and Kevin McCarthy comes on for the 7th time. He's 1-0, the ERA up over 5. But there's something happened between innings as that pop-up was ensuing. And that wasn't it exactly, because that's after the inning. But on the pop-up, a couple of the umpires got in between Alex Gordon as he was coming off, and now he's got a smile on his face as Jerry Lane comes up. Jerry Lane is one of the most animated and one of the most vociferous of all of the umpires. He likes to talk to the players, and sometimes the players might say, Jerry, I got to concentrate on this at bat. So,
well, he's also good at charades and mimicking people, because what he did facially was showing Alex Gordon what he did when he was hit by the pitch. It seemed like Alex was trying to downplay what happened, and then Jerry made that sourpuss as if to say, Alex, I saw it on your face. But credit to Jerry Lane for confronting the issue and not letting it simmer.
There's no doubt that he took care of it after the inning.
Into center field, that's a base hit for Garcia. So watch as Gordon walks by, little smile, and Jerry says, what's with the puss? I think that's actually what he said, what's with the puss? And then he does the facial expression.
Well, he gets a smile, but it wasn't all fun and games as they were coming off after the pop-up.
One on, nobody out for Adam Engel. He shows bunt.
Well, let's give a little love to the umpires, and mostly Sean Barber and Jordan Baker. What happened on the pop-up was Gordon was coming off, and Lopez was also coming in the same area, and Jordan Baker from second and Sean Barber from the plate got in the infield to make sure if something happened, they were going to be right on top of it. And we talk about umpires and what they do or what they don't do on a nightly basis, but what they did there diffused anything that might have happened. They both anticipated that something might have happened. Jordan Baker, one of the larger umpires, and Sean Barber, one of the more aware of the umpires, both went out and made sure that Lopez and Gordon were not going to come together, and then Jerry Lane diffused things even further. So the umpires all did just a great job there, diffusing something that might have happened but didn't because of this umpiring crew.
On the ground, can they turn 2 through the shift? The answer is yes.
That's what the shift is intended for, and Leary cannot get a piece of Merrifield, and he's got a strong arm and pours it across. So 2 quick ones, and McCarthy breathes a sigh of relief. Looked like could have been a tough inning. It wasn't because of the shift.
2 down, Tim Anderson on a 1-for-3 night, and the Royals have been content to pitch Tim inside for a good chunk of the evening.
We'd like to see him open up a bit because they've stayed in there. They've found a place they feel comfortable with. They've stayed in there. Just open up and look for it in, because it's going in again.
Piece of firewood. Cuthbert delivers out number 3. Leadoff single, no harm done by the Sox offense. But this is how fast the offense has happened in this series for the Sox. 4-2. scoreboard message. Proceeds benefit White Sox charities. To book your message, visit whitesox.com/scoreboard. Jeff Chanel and his group do a wonderful job with the scoreboard. They are the ones who will be spelling your name in lights to remember forever.
And that's the thrill coming to the ballpark and seeing your name up there. Easily done.
Reynaldo Lopez, through 3 innings, had thrown 61 pitches. He's thrown 30 since.
Well, this is what he can do because his stuff is great. And if you have good stuff and you stay around the plate, which he has tonight, this is a vast improvement.
To second and passed into center field. A base hit for Whit Merrifield. You know what, now that it's nicer out, open air shopping is a great idea, and it's time to get out the credit card and go to the swap meet. The Sultan of Swap, Chris Kamka, has this for us to buy.
And it's your turn tonight.
Yeah, so you picked first last time.
Yes.
I'm gonna take the person with the better on base and slugging on the right.
Okay, so will I.
No, that's not how it works. You get the one on the left. There's only one in the inventory.
Okay, then I'll take the one on the left. But in the meantime, Joe McEwing is coming out, and I think that's going to be it for Reynaldo, who did a great job tonight. He got Joe where he wanted. There's 9 outs to go, and he still has not made the call yet.
He said, how do you feel? If you're reading lips.
Maybe he's going to let him talk his way into this game. I think he's still got plenty left at 92 pitches. But in the meantime, Sox pen is up and going, and he gives him the vote of confidence. He says, okay, you want to stay in? You can stay in. And Aaron Bummer was there for Mike Moustakas. And so I believe that's the 4th trip. I'm not sure exactly, but it's not going to matter because the next trip Reynaldo is gone anyway. And if he doesn't get Moustakas, he would be most likely, unless it's a protracted at bat, he would be taken down. But you do have the right-hander up in Perez. He might be around for him. What you'd like to see is a guy that doesn't run very well pound the ball on the ground.
Sox have 2 visits left. You get 1 for every extra inning if that were to come around as well. Sincerely hope not, and the Sox hang on to this lead. Moustakas takes the ball downstairs. He is 1 for 3 so far tonight. You like it?
Well, if you got Andrew Miller out there, then you go to Andrew Miller. But when you have a young pitcher out there, you go with the starter. Because if Reynaldo can get by, if he can, it's a confidence builder. If he can't, you're allowing a young pitcher to know that you've got confidence that he can get a guy, and that will speak volumes for Reynaldo down the road.
Now it's a fastball count. A powerful bat, Moustakas.
The place to get Mike is in under the hands, but you can't be specific necessarily, because in under the hands for a ball is not a good spot. He'll just take it. Looks like a throw to first base, maybe.
On the ground and through. He got the ground ball he wanted. It wasn't in the right place. 2 on, nobody out for Kansas City in the 7th.
And Joe now only has the left-hander up, and so he's got to go with Reynaldo. It was a short at bat to Moustakas. See the difference in a tiring pitcher as opposed to a fresh pitcher. Wellington wanted that fastball up and in, and Reynaldo threw it low and away, and it cost a base hit. You still have an ideal man for 2 up, and Perez did ground to third last time up. One of those here would look mighty nice.
In the air, right center field. Adam Engel is there for out number 1. Merrifield beats feet to third. Runners at the corners, 1 down for the left-hander Lucas Duda.
And now you think it's time to go to Bummer in the pen, and it will be.
Season high in hits, season low in walks for Lopez tonight.
And as Bummer comes in, we'll step out. And we'll be back after these.
Catch every moment this season. Get White Sox home screen icons and features like the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Time now for a Lakeside Bank call to the pen. And it is the left-handed Aaron Bummer. He's on for the 13th time, so he's been a busy man. He is the definition of a situational lefty, and here's the situation. Runners at the corners. It's a 2-run game. Sox lead 4-2, despite being out hit 10-7. And Lucas Duda, who's hit the ball very hard tonight, with 1 for 3 to show for it.
Sox shifted even more massively against Duda in previous scenarios. Runners at first and third, and here comes Merrifield to the plate. The Royals are on the board again, and the tying run is at second base.
We'll take another look at it. And the backhand on the ball in the middle of your legs is never real good. And that's what Wellington did, and it cost him, in this case, 90 feet times 2. They called it a pass ball. Ball might have hit the dirt, but it should have been handled, and I think Wellington would tell you the same thing.
One and 0. Just off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. Very close on that 1-0 pitch.
Now they've changed it to wild pitch.
Either way, you get a run. And now 3-0. Aaron Bummer has not walked a left-hander this season. 15 batters faced.
There is a very powerful right-hander coming up next.
A strike, 3-1.
This is normally where the lefty-lefty advantage evens out, because you're just looking plain and simple a fastball. Last one down the middle, and no margin for error in a 1-run game.
Good placement, 3-2.
When Aaron does throw it knee high, it does sink thigh high. I mean, it sinks calf high, and that was a good fastball. Duda, a good fastball hitter, knew it was coming and still hit the top of the baseball. Shows the sink on the ball. Moustakas representing the tying run. He's had a good night.
3-2. On the ground, left-hand side. Moustakas with third base vacated, gets there, and 2 away in the 7th.
Some good base running by Mike Moustakas, as that looks to be it for Aaron Bummer. Joe McEwing comes out. He's making the call to the pen. It's Nate Jones out there and ready to go. So as Aaron Bummer will depart, Nate Jones will come in with a tying run 90 feet away in a 1-run game. We'll step out. We'll be back. Santos and Luke Stuckmeyer on Facebook Live weekends at 5 for The Rush, presented by GMC. Time now for the Lakeside Bank call to the pen, and it is Nate Jones in a very tough and tight situation. A 1-run game late. Nate on for the 10th time. He's 1-0. His ERA 186. And he's facing Jorge Soler, who has hit the baseball very well in close to 2 games in this series. He had 2 hits last night. He's got 2 hits tonight.
And he will still have 2 hits tonight. Tim, it's wide. We're tied. It's E6. Still 2 out.
And Ronaldo Lopez, a no D. Right here is the tough part. Tim takes way too many steps before he gets rid of it and throws wide of the bag. And that is E6 and a no D for that man that threw it very well tonight. His trade-off was getting the ball over the plate and giving up more hits than he's given up this year. However, his walks were non-existent, and that's what you're looking for from a young pitcher. So a positive outing for Ronaldo Lopez, even though he will get no decision.
John Jay, the batter. Time called. Strike 1. Four runs, 2 earned tonight for Lopez in the 6 1/3.
Got to be careful with Jay because you've got a righty-righty matchup with Cuthbert in the on-deck circle. Jay's got 2 hits. He's swinging it very well tonight. And you do have first base open.
Off Castillo, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Took a little something off that one and had Jay out in front. You get El Monte on the bench, a switch hitter, much better from the left side, so that's an option if you just flat out walk Jay, which you're not going to do with a 1-2 count. El Monte, a .310 hitter as the lefty. Also, you got Ryan Goins, who had a very good night last night. So You've got some options from the left side. If you are the skipper, Ned Yost.
Two and two for Jay. Extra step for Soler at second. Two and two.
Dade was trying to throw that slider down and in and find Jay swinging over the top of it. That one was in a good spot, but Jay did a nice job. He just caught the top of the baseball and stayed alive.
Two. Rush to first. Jose is there. He gobbles it up, and the inning is over. The Royals tie the game, though, on a couple of hits and an error. We'll play the eighth after this. Don't want to miss StubHub, your ticket out. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Chicago White Sox.
Got a new pitcher coming in the ball game. It is Brad Keller on for the 10th time. There you look at the numbers, and they're pretty good. Not overwhelming. 4 strikeouts and 7 2/3 while giving up 9 hits. But left-handers have done nothing with him, which would mean that he's got a pretty good changeup. Right-handers have torched him.
So Keller, Rule 5 pick, who the Royals got in a trade with Cincinnati in the Rule 5 draft, as his first pitch fouled away. Kevin McCarthy, 1 inning, 1 hit. He got a double play ball and no runs. First man out of the bullpen tonight for Ned Yost. A little bit low, ball and a strike. Abreu to follow, Castillo then, and Matt Davidson. For a Royals bullpen that came into the series with an ERA over 7. Two one. Good effort by Debo. 2-2.
Keller, a big man at 6'5", 230. This is his first season, first shot at the major leagues.
To left field, Gordon driven back, and there is out number 1. So let's, after all that action, show us what we bought at the swap meet. I took the guy on the right. You had the guy on the left. Let's see. What's in the bag? Bo Jackson and Joe Creedy.
You took the guy on the right?
Yeah.
Pretty good choice.
Pretty similar numbers for those two. Sultan of Swap strikes again. Kamka. One down for Jose.
Keller's fastball is pretty straight, which should play into the hands of Jose. He's not swung it well tonight, just coming back from his flu-like symptoms.
2 down. Jose hadn't eaten solid food for a couple days. I mean, first 2 days of this trip.
Yeah. And, you know, it kind of shows in the at-bats tonight. But he's out there. He wants to play every day, and he doesn't like to DH. He wants to play in the field because he feels that he can help the ball club there. He also feels like he's more in the game. And because he has the ability to do that, and because his defense has gotten a whole lot better, when he is out there, you want him defensively.
Sox on this road trip, 5 in Kansas City in 4 days, then an off day and 2 in St. Louis. The Cardinals tonight gave up 3 in the 9th. Greg Holland didn't give an out to his team. He gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. He's got a 7.11 ERA. So the 9th inning has been a trouble spot for St. Louis, even with Holland in the fold. Sox go 1-2-3 in the inning. Kansas City bats in the 8th after a Chuck Garfien update. Up in a 4-4 tie, and Nate Jones for the 3rd time this year being used on back-to-back days. This is day number 2 after throwing 26 pitches in the series opener yesterday.
Well, he ostensibly got out of the inning and would have preserved the lead, but didn't work out that way. So now the game is in his hands. The game resides in the hands of the bullpen for both ball clubs, and both starters will get no decisions. And one starter is very happy about that, and that's Danny Duffy. So Don Cooper talking it over with tonight's skipper Joe McEwing.
It's a good look for Coop, by the way. The glasses necklace.
Very studious. Oh, 2. Everything away, 1-2. Cuthbert has had a good run against Nate Jones, as you can tell by those numbers. And he will hit the ball to right and right center field most of the time. The big gap is in left center and down the line in left, with Garcia well off the line.
Slider grounded to third. Yolmer at the boundary has out number one. Here's Alex Gordon, who was hit by a pitch, extending his Kansas City Royals career lead to 13 plunkings ahead of former catcher Mike McFarland, who had 78 in his Kansas City career. Gordon with 91.
You wouldn't want to lead the club in that department, I don't think.
Unless you really like bruises. What's the plural of hit by pitch for you?
Pain. Lots of pain.
It's the $500 answer. 0-1. A little bit low.
A lot of guys make a living at it. Craig Biggio is one of those guys from Houston who used to routinely get in the way of pitches. The late Don Baylor, just a wonderful player. Also got hit a lot. That one was hit a lot. Tuesday night on NBC Sports Chicago, the Sox open up their series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Coverage begins at 7, and you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
A fine place to watch a baseball affair, the new Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis.
Beautiful. Those Cardinals battling in Pittsburgh, 5-5 with Pittsburgh, bottom of the 11th.
Escobar and Jones.
Escobar loves to swing early in the count. We've seen that time and time again over the course of his career. He is the Iron Man on this team, and he's always had a good run with Nate Jones, more times than not going to right center field.
Slider starts him off.
Good idea for a guy who's a notorious first ball hitter. Threw a perfect slider, no contact.
Nate's previous high back-to-back days this year, 40 pitches. That was on the 17th and 18th this month in Oakland. He's at 47 now, including that strike to Escobar.
Sox pen up and going just in case.
Two sliders for Escobar.
Not a lot of guys in this league can throw sliders 90 miles an hour, but Nate can with a high 90s fastball.
One more slider for good measure.
I would think if he looked as bad on the first two, he would go and try it again.
There it was.
That one had the whole plate, and Escobar was able to stay alive. He wants it away, but he got a little too much of the plate, and he'll have another one.
Gregory Infante loosening in the White Sox bullpen. Another foul.
So we've seen 4 sliders in a row. That means it's going to be very difficult to get him on a slider unless Nate makes a perfect pitch.
Former All-Star starter Alcides Escobar. One out. Gordon at first. Fastball line to short. Tim is there. 2 down in the 8th.
A little later in his career, this is a throw that Tim won't make because there's no chance to get Gordon at first base. This is a throw that can only get you in trouble. Gordon standing on the bag. You hold it, you get it back to the pitcher, and you worry about Merrifield.
Whit Merrifield in his 3rd season with Kansas City now in the majors. 1 for 3, a run scored. He was hit by a pitch in the 2nd by Reynaldo Lopez, who didn't walk a batter tonight. Gave up 2 earned runs in 6 1/3. Reynaldo came in with a 1.50 ERA. That's 1.78 now. Still exceptional in the first month of the season for Lopez. Called strike. Nate gets it on the outside corner. Sox in the 9th will bring up Davidson, Moncada, and Thompson. Which is an interesting dilemma because you'd imagine the Royals would want a righty to face Davidson. Then you have Moncada, who is much better against right-handed pitching. So we'll see if Ned Yost wants to mix and match.
Ned Yost is going to go to his closer because he's going to try to buy an inning. And that's Herrera. You'd figure with 3 pretty tough hitters coming up and one who has tortured his ball club, he'd go to the closer, as I say, to buy an inning.
And there he is.
That is the closer, and he's the lone man loosening up. So regardless of what happens, he's it.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Merrifield. Gordon at first, 2 out. Slider for strike 3. Nate Jones strikes out Merrifield and will go to the 9th. Matt Davidson first after this.
Just like we promised, it's time for the Miller Lite Hold True moment, and it comes off the bat of Matt Davidson. He gets a slider, takes it opposite field, and for the 3rd time in 2 days, Matt Davidson is homered, giving him 8 and 16 on the power numbers. And he coincidentally leads it off against a very tough right-hander. Kelvin Herrera on for the 10th time. No record, no ERA, 4 for 4 in saves, but 10 strikeouts, nary a walk in 7 2/3. My feeling is he is due for a walk. His control is normally not this good, but it's been this good this year.
4 hits allowed in 7 2/3. And an opponent's average at 148 is very good. Strikeouts per 9 at 11.7.
That's excellent. Got a good slider to go with that big fastball.
And a splinter at the plate. Out number 1. Can Moncada square him up?
Herrera has always had very good control, and that's unusual for a guy that can get it up there triple digits. Last year, 64 appearances covering almost 60 innings. He only walked 20. Year before, 72 appearances covering 72 innings. He only walked 12, while fanning 86. So the stuff has always been there.
Sort of a lot more changeups this year, and he starts Moncada with one down.
But when you can throw 98, 99 consistently and reach triple digits, that 89-mile-an-hour changeup is a good one. And Joe McEwen coming out, he wants to talk with Sean Barber. And something he doesn't like going on in the bullpen, my feeling is maybe the phones are out. I would think that that would be the case. If the phones are out, then I believe you have to turn them off
for both
in the home bullpen. But let's see as Jerry Lane comes over. I think the phones are out, and I think that's what he's saying. Look, they're out, so Jerry Lane is saying, okay, no problem. Everybody settle down. We'll turn them off on the other side and go from there.
So now the White Sox and Royals will use a fax machine.
They have walkie-talkies just in case. Is that like the cans where you have the string and you can call down there?
Yeah, you just send one end to the top of the treehouse, then one end down to the bottom.
They used to have signals, and I remember Ozzie Guillen always signaling the bullpen that he wanted the big guy.
For Bobby Jenks.
He wanted the big guy.
Moncada to center. Not far enough. 2 down. Well, look, the point of communication is having the person on the other end know what you're talking about, and Ozzie had no better way of conveying Bobby Jenks.
That's it. Well, Trace is going to catch up with a fastball. He's going to have to sell out, look for a fastball, and try to drive it the opposite way, because he's probably going to get it.
He did at 98.
So 98 at the knees, pretty tough to handle, although a lot easier down there than upstairs. Trace has scored 2 runs with 1 hit tonight.
Nearly got a fastball at the belt.
Yeah, you don't want to really take one for the club at 96 on up, especially above belt high.
One. There is the breaking ball from Herrera. 1-2. Trace fouls it away. Well, the question is, who will face Moustakas at all in the bottom of the inning, and it depends on what the Sox do offensively here.
Well, you'd certainly think that it's going to be Avilan against Moustakas, and then Soria against Perez, Duda, and Soler.
Down the line, fair ball, Cuthbert double clutch, and he is on time. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Herrera. Sox try to preserve 4-4 after this. City. You get to add one player to 26 with the doubleheader. Then Sunday 1:15 off day helps, and then at the Cardinals Tuesday and Wednesday. But first, business to take care of tonight.
The new pitcher coming in the ball game, it is Luis Avilan, and most likely he's on for just Moustakas. You got Perez and then Duda. If anybody gets on Soler, who's been tough to retire tonight, there you look at the numbers, on for the 12th time. The ERA a touch over 5. And Moustakas has been swinging it well. He's got a couple of hits tonight. He had 2 hits last night, so it's been a good series for him.
The round of applause is for Moustakas, who awaits in the home ninth. Now, with the lineup construction as it is, you have left, right, left. So if you get Moustakas, you could make an argument to leave Avilan against Perez for Duda.
Quite possible. Depends on what Joe feels like in conjunction with Don Cooper. Kansas City bullpen going in case they don't score. So both pens active.
Once you get by Herrera, there is a thinning out of the effectiveness of the Kansas City bullpen. So you would imagine in extras, if the Sox can push it there, the advantage would sway back to the visitors.
And situationally, you wouldn't figure that Herrera would go past the 1 inning he did because of the doubleheader tomorrow. Outfield very deep all the way around in a no double set. It was that no double set that allowed Cuthbert to make the play on Thompson. Otherwise, that's a 2-base hit down the line.
This is well down the road. However, this game could affect some of the guys in the bullpen on each side, with the opportunity to certainly you get to bring up one guy from the minors for a doubleheader. But you may see, if this game goes long, you may see some shape shifting in the bullpens and trading places with guys in AAA, depending on the length of this game. Simply because you've got 18 innings to cover in one day tomorrow and then a day game the following day.
Murphy's Law does dictate that this one would go extra innings.
That Murphy guy must have had no friends.
Well, he had a lot of laws, and usually things didn't go well when he got involved.
Imagine his parties. 2-2 on Moustakas. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Salvador Perez on deck. Three and 2. Down the line, there's the no doubles defense. Jose says, I'll do it myself. 1 away.
That is a big out. So guarding the line, Moustakas takes it right down the line. This ball is hard hit. Jose does a nice job of smothering the ball and then beating Moustakas to the bag. So indeed, Avilan does stay in. Round of applause for Matt Davidson. Short round, but a round nonetheless.
Daniel Palka conserving energy just in case of a late entry into the game.
He might be pitching before it's over.
Avilan stays in for Perez, who goes after the first pitch.
Selby redefines an aggressive hitter because he hasn't found a pitch yet that he doesn't like. If he doesn't swing, it's usually because he checked his swing. Other than that, he likes it until it shows him definitively otherwise. There's an example of determining you're going to swing if the ball stayed in the ballpark, because that one was a good foot outside and down out of the zone.
Oh, 2. Avilan. This is outside. Perez does not swing. One and 2. Called a ball loudly by Barber, the plate umpire. Has had a very good night. Close pitch, didn't get it. 2 and 2.
You're usually not going to get an inside pitch because the umpire sets up in the slot. He's looking at the inside pitch head on, and he can see it, and that ball was a touch inside. You see where Sean Barber sets up? That's called the slot. He's looking over the top of the catcher at the outside corner. You have a tendency to get 2 inches out there and no inches inside.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you'd imagine he's in swing mode here.
Normally he is. He hasn't walked this year, so if you put it close, especially if it's out away, Salvi's going to swing at it. A walk would be an upset. See where Luis decides to throw it.
Three and 2. Ripped to left and foul. Don't throw it there again.
How often do you see it? He's got souvenirs. He's got Salvi Perez's shirt on. And yet another one. Pays to stay late.
His friend's looking to see if that ball's still intact after how hard it was hit. Salvi Perez. 3 and 2. Called strike 3. He aced him in the top right.
Well, Salvi's wrong because that was a strike. He doesn't like it, but on our pitch cast, sponsored by Menards, we'll see it's there. It's the high reaches of the zone. Wellington does a great job of selling the call. Watch what he does with it. He brings it down, does it nicely, does it quickly, and Salvi can't believe it, but he would have wanted that pitch for his pitcher. He didn't get it, and now 2 outs in the inning. And now you got the lefty-lefty matchup with 2 outs that you wanted when the inning started.
Tell you what, umpires get a lot of flack, especially in big spots. Those were 2 pitches that Sean Barber had on the borderline, and he had them both right.
Yeah. One was a ball, one was a strike. The right one was a strike, the last one.
2 down for Duda. Nearly tore his oblique on that swing. 0-1.
Well, he's up there knowing he doesn't have any speed, so he's trying to end it with 1 swing of the bat. And against Avilan, pretty good 4 for 12 for a career. So he's seen him well. Sox trying to entice him to hit into the shift.
Lucas Duda, who when he was traded last year, Curtis Granderson was so distraught that when Duda was leaving the clubhouse, Granderson had attached himself prone on the ground to Duda's ankle, and he was saying, "Don't go," as Duda kind of ball and chained his way out of the clubhouse with Granderson behind. A well-liked teammate.
Yes, indeed.
1-1. He's in the dirt. Well, you don't want to face Soler this inning.
Well, he's not going to face Soler. I mean,
you don't want anybody to face
but,
Soler.
But this is Luis's last man, and he would just as soon leave Soler for tomorrow, or certainly next inning. Anything but this inning.
Two balls and a strike from Avilan to Duda. Sox in a massive shift as Duda takes. And by the way, here is the migration of the Sox as Duda comes to the plate. Watch them go. A lot of movement. So little time. to uncharted territories beyond second base.
Now you figure a fastball's coming.
Breaking ball, and he popped him up. Avilan crossed him up, makes the catch, and a 1-2-3 ninth inning for Luis. On the eve of a split doubleheader, we have extra credit tonight. Just 3 hits allowed. He's walked 3, struck out 6. So Hill on the mound to face the Sox. And good news from Charlotte, by the way, maybe a harbinger, as down on the farm, Jake Elmore drove Casey Gillespie in. Charlotte won in extra innings tonight. The rush was on from the dugout. So if AAA can do it, maybe the Sox can do it here in the 10th. Let's see. It's Garcia, Engel, and Anderson coming up. Tim Hill, who gave up a run on opening day as he hit Leury Garcia in the 7th inning of that game, and Garcia came around on a Yolmer hit. Top foul for strike 1. Sox only have 1 hit since the 4th inning. Danny Duffy, the starter, went 6 innings, 4 earned runs, a walk and 3 strikeouts. Leury Garcia, a couple of hits tonight. On the ground, second base. Merrifield has to hurry and does clip Garcia by a step. Time now for our Xfinity high-speed action replay. And it's Adam Engel at a high rate of speed past John Jay to the wall. And Adam with triple number 1 of his season. That is the last hit for the Sox other than Garcia's single in the 7th. So only 1 hit since that 3-base hit for Adam, who also bunted home a run on the sacrifice in the 2nd. Called a strike. That is a nasty pitch from Tim Hill.
You throw from down under and you get the kind of sink that he has, it's going to be difficult for both sides to hit.
92, 0-2.
He depends very much on deception as opposed to just flat out stuff. Although it appears the ball is rising because he throws from down under.
Adams just got his claws out right now, down 2 strikes.
Just hoping that he gets careless with one in the zone. He's used down, middle, and up. That is 3 pitches. There you see on PitchCast.
2 down in the 10th.
And if you haven't seen him too often, he's very deceptive.
Yeah, he looks like a molar extraction.
They've been staying inside on Tim all night. Now, you wouldn't think that Hill is going to go in there. You can see the ball too well, mostly trying to stay away. That went out over the plate and fouled off.
Fourth reliever for the Royals tonight, Tim Hill, after McCarthy, Keller, and Herrera have given up one base runner combined. A lot of balls in play tonight for the Sox, only 4 strikeouts. Oh, 2 to right field and over the head of Soler. Tim into second base with 2 down, and the Sox have the lead run in scoring position.
Tim looking away and getting one away. Perez wanted it higher than that, and Tim takes it over the head of Soler. He's in scoring position.
And by the way, Tim Anderson, we told you, he brought some young folks to see the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. They're still hanging out. They're dedicated to the cause and cheering big time for their new friend, Tim Anderson.
Tim now 2 for 5. More importantly, he carries with him the go-ahead run.
Yolmer. Ball 1.
If Hill's going to throw a breaking ball, it's going to be inside, but more times than not, just look away and you're going to get at least one in the sequence out there.
One and 1 to Sanchez. Abreu next. Tim Hill, who's in his Major League Premier season, his 10th career MLB game.
Even if Hill doesn't get Yolmer, he's going to face Abreu.
I mean, it's an obstacle course right now for these two managers. Joe McEwing in for Ricky Renteria, and Ned Yost with a doubleheader tomorrow, trying to conserve a bullpen, is already a task tomorrow, let alone this game going long. Strike 3. Hill fans a pair. Anderson stranded at second. Bottom 10 after this. to the bottom of the 10th. Extras really on the wrong day for both teams with a doubleheader coming up. But once you're here, you want to win it. And Gregory Infante out of the bullpen for the Sox.
Comes out for the 10th time. He's 0-1, ERA at 9. 7 bases on balls in 8 innings, and so he's got to get it over, and he's got a tough guy at the top of this one. Jorge Soler has been hitting the ball awfully hard. He's been on base 3 times with a couple of hits and an error.
If only Dan Pasqua were in the lineup today. How often do you say that? Quite often. This day in 1991, he hit a 484-foot homer at then New Comiskey Park, the longest until 2001.
Yeah, but it's 62 or so. I'm not sure he's getting around on the Herreras of the world.
You don't think?
Nah, that might be a little tardy, although he's still a very strong man.
It's worth mulling over.
Sure.
Jorge Soler takes ball 1 from Infante.
Place you really don't want to be is falling behind and then having to come at Jorge Soler with a fastball. Here's another breaky, and let's see if he can get it over.
He did. 1 ball, 1 strike on Soler, who's been on base 3 times. Jorge Soler's dad, Jorge Sr., a famed pitcher from Cuba. Generational talent in the game. Breaking ball city from Infante so far, 2-1.
There is a gap in right center field, and all the outfielders respecting Soler's power.
Soler power.
Yes. But no wind tonight.
2-1. Little bit inside. 3-1. Royals have yet to walk in this game. As here we are in the 10th. John Jay, who's had some nice at bats this evening, is on deck. Three and 1 from Infante. Ball 4, leadoff walk. And we were talking about this day in White Sox history. So let's see what else happened. We've been discussing cycles a lot, and this, the last standard definition cycle for the White Sox for a while. Jose Valentin against the Orioles in order. April 27, 2000. He's a really underrated player, Jose Valentin.
He could hit him from both sides of the plate. And straight over the top thrower from shortstop.
Jay shows bunt.
And a meeting at the mound, just in case he does bunt. They're going to talk about the defense, but more to the point, you got to throw a strike one way or the other. So many times what a manager will do after showing bunt on the first pitch, especially with a pitcher struggling with his control and a veteran hitter, he'll take off the bunt and let him swing away. Or there's another school of thought said make him throw a strike.
Don't forget, you get an extra mound visit for every extra inning, and you can carry over the mound visits from regulation. So the Sox are back to 2. They came into extra innings with 2 remaining. They used their 1 for the 10th inning now, and that's your mound visit update. And in case you're wondering, you get an extra mound visit for every extra inning, and if you don't use it, you can keep it for future extra innings, so it's not slotted for the 10th inning.
The wind has kicked up, and it's blowing toward the right field corner for Jay.
1-0.
And he did take the bunt off and allowed him to swing away. He did not swing at a good pitch. That could have easily been called ball 2. So
that wind really picked up in the last minute or so.
It did that.
See the umpires' hands billowing. Jordan Baker at second base. 1-1. Now a ball and 2 strikes for John Jay. No rain in the area at all. The wind just shifted rapidly. Up the middle, should be 2. Tim got him. Jay is very displeased as he runs down the line. Sox get 2 for the price of 1.
Jay hit that ball hard, but into the shift, and Tim was right there to make the play. Very easy hop. It came up, and he turned it into a pair. So Jay couldn't hit it any harder, but he hit it in the right spot, and Soler peels off because he's got no chance on this one.
2 out, Chesler Cuthbert. Strike 1. Infante gaining confidence with the double play. Sox in the 11th are scheduled to have Abreu, Castillo, and Davidson.
It sounds like a trio that can get it done.
Well, 2 of them homered yesterday, and 1 of them might have had he played and been healthy, of course. They've all homered in this park this year. To third, fair ball. Yolmer at the chalk. Jose got him. What a dig by Jose Abreu. Well, he hadn't eaten solid food for a couple of days. Abreu wanted to play badly today, and here's the asset he is saving. Out number 3. Tonight with 12. Matt Davidson, another one this evening. And that 18 record from 2001 is in grave danger.
You would certainly think so, and one would be welcome here.
Against a left-hander in Tim Hill, whose stuff looks quite good, and look, you want the Sox to win this game, but if Tim Hill were on any other team, you would absolutely root for him. A couple of years ago, Tim Hill was running spring of 2015. He was doing his conditioning, and he noticed that he was struggling to breathe. He was having trouble catching his breath while he was running. This ball's hit well to left field and hooking. Foul. So the Royals do this routine blood test, and Hill, whose father had passed away a bunch of years ago of colon cancer, kind of figured that something might be up, and it was true that there was a tumor as Hill had a colonoscopy done. He had a tumor. It was stage 3 colon cancer. Had to have surgery, have a portion of his colon removed, chemotherapy, and an extremely long road back for Tim Hill. And, you know, as I said, you want the Sox to win this game, but somebody you can have a place in your heart for as you see the Royals beyond this series in Tim Hill. One, two. On the ground and foul.
The corners have to play on the line. You get Cuthbert playing back at third, and Duda close enough to the line. Now Jose can still shoot it by him, but it would be difficult to get it by him to his left and down in the right field corner.
1-2.
That's a nice job of staying alive, because that ball is off the plate outside, tantalizingly close, and Jose is able to keep the at bat right where it stood when he saw that pitch at 1-2.
How ugly looking must Hill be in terms of his stuff and the way he delivers that ball?
Well, because there's nobody around that's quite like that, it becomes more difficult. But if he gets one up in the zone, and this is a fastball away, and Perez is telling him to get it out here and get it down.
That stayed up, but it was well away.
And Jose not wanting to take anything out there. He doesn't believe that Hill is going to come inside with a fastball. So he's looking middle out. He can adjust to the slider if he throws it. And Salvi Perez looking at the feet of Jose to see if he got any closer to the plate. He's going to go inside with this.
That's a rocket to right field from Jose Abreu.
Jose was looking outside the hole at bat, and Hill missed. Perez wanted it inside, and Hill got it outside, and Jose looking outside the whole way, and you see Perez, he doesn't want it up there, and Jose too good a hitter. If a pitcher is going to stay in one spot, now he didn't try to throw it out there, but the hole at bat was away, his sight line was away, and it cost him a base hit, the potential go-ahead run.
First hit for the Sox since the 7th inning, a leadoff single for Leury Garcia. Castillo takes ball 1, and Hill now missing outside frequently.
That's a place to look, because he is what's called arm side strong, meaning he can throw it over the outside corner to a right-hand hitter. His problems will come on a fastball inside to a right-hand hitter. He'll get a breaking ball in there, but he'll struggle with a fastball.
1-0. By the way, second hit for the Sox since the 7th inning. Tim Anderson with a 2-out double in the 10th, but they have been scarce since the 4th. Sox got 2 runs in the 4th inning and 3 hits since, 3 base runners since, because walks have been hard to come by as well in this game. Just 2 total combined.
Outfield straight away, and Soler is awfully deep in right field. That's a product of the wind. The wind that just picked up a couple of innings ago was a non-factor until the late innings of this game.
2-1. On the ground, third base side, and they get 1. Cuthbert with the feed. Castillo over to first. Abreu's out. Now it's up to Matt Davidson, who has destructed the Royals this year. Home run tonight. He's 1 for 4, 3 homers in the series. 6 of his 8 this year have come against Kansas City. Strike one.
Those are pretty gaudy numbers in 4 games.
That's low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Been up and going for Kansas City. It's yet another left-hander.
Foul right side, and in case you were wondering what all those home runs look like, we have them for you in a neat package. These are the 5 entering today for Matt Davidson. See, it was light out then. Matt can actually turn off the sun in this ballpark. That's how magical his season has been. We can't even get all of his home runs here at Kauffman Stadium in between pitches. There have been so many.
Well, 6 of them are tough to get in between pitches, especially if he drives this ball to right field, because up in that wind, he doesn't have to get a lot of it to get it out.
2-2. Off the plate, 3-2. Nice take.
That was a good call by Sean Barber. Again, he's had a very good night behind the plate, and a lot of the umps in the stands wanted that, but it was off the plate. Salvi wants it inside, and Hill is having all kinds of problems getting it into right-handers, so he goes away again.
Davidson hits it well. Deep right field. Gone again.
You just keep looking away, and good things happen, especially with Hill on the mound. And Matt Davidson, yet another home run here. He's driven in 3 again tonight. He's got 9. He's got 18 driven in. Our 4th home run replay, and Matt Davidson looking away, going that way. And we talked about the wind. He's got plenty of strength, wind or no wind. This one's going out. A 2-run Sox lead with some late game drama off the bat of Matt Davidson once again.
A season worth of power at the Big K for Matty D. You can only laugh at what he's done here in Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, they're laughing in one dugout. Not so funny in the other one. And Matt Davidson has no idea why this is going on, but he's going to ride the crest as long as he can.
And Yoan Moncada on for the 2nd time. He's going to dig for 2. Moncada on the gas pedal. He is in there.
There is a classic example of a Ricky Renteria baseball team. That's a base hit that Yoan hustled into a double. His first hit from the right side tonight. He's hit the ball hard a couple of times, but this one finds a hole, and he's thinking 2 when he left the batter's box. And there's a lesson to all you young players out there. Unless you're thinking double, you can't possibly get there. You're not going to have the speed of Moncada most likely, but it's the thought process that we're talking about, not necessarily the speed.
Trace Thompson.
Hill was going to have to run him down himself because nobody was covering at second. The closest to the play was Jordan Baker, and he's too big to get to the bag.
Also, there'd be a protest filed if he tried to. Thompson takes a strike. Matt Davidson, unreal. The most powerful podcast host in America.
I'm not sure if even Matty can believe this. How do you hit 7 home runs against one team in the same ballpark? And we're not through April yet. You were talking about Mookie Betts. He had all year to hit 10. And that was in Camden Yard. He's got a while to go yet before the calendar turns to May.
Off speed, strike 3, 2 down.
So
just in case
Yep.
you were wondering, by
Yeah.
the way, just in case, the Sox will be back here September 10th through 12th.
Great.
Just in case.
That's terrific. But we have a while to go in this series, which should be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, look.
We still got three. We got three left.
There are 3 games left
Right.
in this series.
So essentially, you have a whole series left in this series.
It's true. 7 home runs for Matt Davidson in this ballpark this year. Down the line, that's a foul ball. Foul ball, not reviewable, in front of the umpire's position.
Look, this has not been a tremendously entertaining season, but it has been a real entertaining 2 games here in Kansas City so far.
Play them all here.
Think we can petition the league for that?
I mean, you know, in the cartoons, right, when there's a guy who's down on his luck and he's moping around and everything seems to be going poorly. He's got the rain cloud over his head. Matt Davidson is Kauffman Stadium's personal rain cloud.
Now, there was an option to maybe come here and play some more games. I would be thinking about that Minnesota series, the snow out. Certainly he would have liked that.
Two and two, chopped foul. So as we check the tote board late in the night, Matt Davidson has 7 home runs at Kauffman Stadium. The Kansas City Royals have 8 at Kauffman Stadium. They own the place.
They played a few more games here, you're saying?
This is home game number 12, and for Matt, this is home game number 4. Line to the right side by Garcia. Bancada on the way home. It's cut off. Sox get insurance and a rundown that ends. The applause for his teammates and a little bit for himself. The stern look of Matt Davidson, who has taken a wrecking ball to the Royals in their own place of residence. 7-4 Sox.
And the closer comes in. It's Joakim Soria on for the 10th time, no record, and it is a save situation. So he's looking to go 4 out of 5, a 3-point ERA, and he's got to start with the bottom of the order, and then Merrifield And if anybody gets on, it's Moustakas, someone you just as soon face at 1 o'clock tomorrow in the first of a split doubleheader.
If you had it your way, you'd rather face him the 12th of never, but that's not possible.
He's ground out some very good at bats, and last time up, Jose Abreu was right on the line for Moustakas and saved a double. But it all starts with Gordon right here.
Ball and a strike. Sox bullpen has been quite good tonight. Just a couple of base runners allowed by Bummer, Jones, Avilan, and Infante. Nice hook, 1-2. Question is, will Matt Davidson's success only be confined to this part of Missouri, or will it carry over to St. Louis when the Sox are there, as down goes Gordon? Who got hit earlier and was rather irritated by that.
Well, this will make the outside corner look just a touch farther away. Wellington wants it inside. He wants it up. He didn't want it that far inside, but Gordon got down in a hurry. It's the off-speed pitch. He didn't want the fastball in.
So after Soria rings his doorbell, he throws him out. One away. Matty D's been the story, but the Sox D at points tonight also has.
We'll take a look at some good plays. Double play, 6-4-3. This is as snappy a double play as you'll see. Good turn, and then right back up the middle for a relatively easy double play. And Jose Abreu on the other end of this one. Look at Jose. Not only picks it, but keeps the foot on the bag, and that is a huge out. Yomer had a sterling play at third base, so there's been a whole lot of D to go with a sudden outburst in the 11th inning.
It balances out the error in the 7th inning that eventually scored the tying run. Tim has turned a couple of nice double plays. Soler's ball ended up tying the game in the 7th. Sox have made that go away from memory for the most part.
By the way, it is a little known rule. If we get Matt Davidson 2 nights in a row in the post game, he's got to join after SAG.
Get his union card. Mulling over his answers. If he auctioned that mouth guard right now, he could make some good money.
$3-4 on the open market in a bidding war, maybe $4.50.
Ball of 2 strikes to Escobar. Well, you know, Kansas City has been a garden of good memories for the Sox so far this season. Left here at 2-0. Now having a tough time getting in the win column. Visit here again, and the Sox get a win in the opener, and now with Matt Davidson pounding the ball one more time with 4 homers in 2 games, Sox have taken an extra inning lead.
And Wellington Castillo is finding out that it is indeed a game of adjustment. So we'll play on.
The Royals were giving him some flack, and he said, "Hey guys,
yeah,
there's
lighten up, Francis.
There's a slight issue that we'd like to get rectified."
We're not waiting for the rain.
2 balls and 2 strikes. He's not going to leave anything to inference there.
That's a tough position to play, ladies and gentlemen.
The extra inning upper thigh injury. Fouled away. Still 2-2.
I don't think Wellington could have taken another foul
Did
ball
you
there.
see the hand come up?
I think the next one, and he's down. And Omar, get the gear on. He's still. Yeah, it's really easy for us to have a laugh up here, but we're laughing with him, except he's not laughing.
No, we're laughing with him and without him. Breaking ball. It's called that because of the shards of bat. 2 down. And there to the bat boneyard, it shall turn. 2 down. Whit Merrifield. A prospective out number 33 tonight. Sox looking for their first win in extra innings in 2018.
However, it's becoming old hat to win in Kansas City. Sox would go 4 and zip in 4 games.
Called strike 1. Just gotten word from the Election Commission. Matt Davidson has been voted Jackson County Controller. Seven votes are in, and they've all left the ballpark. No balls, 2 strikes.
And now Wellington has a little spring in his step.
Never wanted to catch out number 33 anymore.
Easiest way to make it to the major leagues is behind the plate, in the toughest position to play.
0-2. To left field it goes, and tailing away from Garcia to the wall. Merrifield on his way to second. It's a 2-out double.
Leury Garcia, not to go unnoticed, and I'm not talking about this particular play because he had no chance to get this anyway. But his base running play got the Sox the 3rd run. That means that Moustakas does not represent the tying run. Leury can't get to it. It rattles away. But I'm talking about the play he made when he rounded first base, went to second, only to pull up. The throw was cut off by Duda. If the throw goes through, Soler is pretty shallow, and he's got a strong arm. He did not let the throw go through, cut it off. The run scored the 3rd run, which could be vital in this one.
Strike to Moustakas.
That's the place you want to throw Moustakas. Inside, preferably up a little higher. But he is looking middle away with everything. It is tough for a right-hander to consistently get it there, however.
On the ground. And that is all she wrote in game 2 of the series. Soria and the Sox close it out. Matt Davidson provides the thunder at Kauffman Stadium one more time.
And Soria now 4 of 5 in save situations, and although last year was not a particularly good year for him, he's come back. Sox knew the experience, had enough arm left that he would be the answer at the end, while Nate Jones was paying an apprenticeship to eventually close. So a long night, but a very successful night. And Joe McEwing, now 1-0 this year as Sox manager. If you haven't heard, Ricky Renteria's mother passed away. He's going to miss 3 games over 2 days, and Joe McEwing took over. Pushed a lot of right buttons here tonight, and largely due to that man you're looking at, who has terrorized Kansas City in this ballpark. 7 home runs in 4 games. Something that you might have read about before but have rarely seen. We've seen each and every one of them, and they keep on getting more dramatic, and we'll show it to you. We keep adding on to this roll. Opening day, first time up, Danny Duffy. He's a victim. That was 1. And then Another one. Now he's 2, and his 3rd on opening day, a laser down the line. So we have 3. And then we have 4. That's Junis, who realized that perhaps that fastball is not all that good, and the slider wasn't much better because they both went out of the park, and now he's got 5.
Matt's here, but he's going to have to wait a while because we're only on home run number 6. So you're going to have to wait, Matty, all right? This one to right center field. And then after the round of applause you got from Giolito and Nicky, why not do it in extra innings one more time? All right, now we'll interview you. Matt, come on now. Like, what's the deal here?
Hey, Steve.
Yes,
well, keep it coming. I'll see you tomorrow.
I got to keep coming down. You know, I did see opening day before the game to congratulate you on the season, and now I got to come down tomorrow. So you're kind of getting into my time to just really look at stats and all that with Jason, but I'm more than happy to come down, and maybe you'll hit another 2 tomorrow.
Hey, come on. You know you don't really want to do that.
Thanks. Really appreciate
but
it.
you might have to take the early bus tomorrow, maybe.
What's going on in this park for you?
You know, I think I just made a good adjustment with my barrel, just not dropping it, and it's had some good success. You know, I feel like, you know, it's more, you know, making solid contact, line drive contact, and the balls will go out, you know. And, you know, I was just kind of missing. I was flipping the barrel a little bit, and I'm just trying to, you know, really hit a ground ball, kind of like what, I mean, all day I was trying to do that, you know, they have that huge shift on, and like that one I hit the first, that's what I'm trying to do. So, you know, I'm just trying to stay there, and they're going out, so I'm going to keep it going.
You're terrible at hitting ground balls,
yeah.
Which I'm sure everybody will take. What did they say to you in the dugout when you came in?
You know, it's kind of ridiculous a little bit. I really don't know what's going on. Nobody else does either. This kind of stuff you kind of dream of. You don't really actually think it's going to happen, you know, because it's kind of a little excessive. But I'm going to keep on riding the wave, and I'm going to enjoy it. You know, this is pretty cool.
Excessive, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't show up every day or thinking you're going to come to Kauffman Stadium hitting 7. Is it 7 homers?
7 homers.
I mean,
yes.
It's not. You know. I mean, you're trying. You know, you like to dream big, but I mean, I guess that's why you dream big, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Matty, I guess you have to be the guest on the next podcast. Can you just interview yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think people enjoy that more than you and me, so, you know, I'll just go with myself.
Beat it. Congratulations, Matt.
All right, see you
Well
guys.
done.
Take care. Get your rest.
That's Matt Davidson, always with a snarky comment for us. Look, you got to be happy for the guy. He toiled through the minors for such a long time, and you see the power thriving now, especially against Kansas City, and Bob Bechtold following him into the clubhouse.
All that time he was coming up with the Diamondbacks, and he had all this potential, and he came to the Sox with all this potential, and now we're seeing in this season all of that potential translate into performance, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So I'll tell you what, get your rest. It's a long day tomorrow, but with 2 wins under our belts here in Kansas City and Matt Davidson setting all kinds of records, I'm looking forward to the first game tomorrow.
You saw the fountain. Matt's into job creation. He's got people fishing baseballs out of the fountain all night long here in Kansas City. So for our producer Keon Dolan-Shahi, our director Jim Angio, associate producer Dave Ross, tech manager Mark Harper, and executive producer Greg Bowman, plus our entire wonderful NBC Sports Chicago crew in Kansas City. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. Coming up next, Subaru White Sox post-game live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball, powered by Matt Davidson on NBC Sports Chicago. Good night.